Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world, as my kids on cue scream in the background, and I've got the wrong graphic up, and away we go. Frustrating. For everybody that was watching, that's what that game was. I said it during the watch party. If you weren't a part of the watch party, that was a game that we lost, not that a game that we won. But we're here for the After 90 Minutes where you get to share your thoughts, and I assume that we're going to have some visitors that will probably join us throughout this one. I'll try and get into the chat of this to make sure that I can control and moderate anything that happens on that front. We've already got a couple people, Sheldon and the Local Pundit, sitting there waiting to join. So just an overview of that one as we wait for people to come in here on what was an opportunity for us to really push forward and secure ourselves in the automatic promotion spot. But really just nothing offensively that went forward. Lots of smoke, no fire, lots of questions asked, but no, lots of answers. Some frustrating play, a frustrating managerial decision. I'm sure we're going to get into all of that with everybody as we go through it. So I've got Sheldon and Josh. I see your cameras off. I'll wait for you until you get into it. And I'm just going to take a moment here while I'm at it to make sure I can get to the Restream chat to do what I need to do, because I'm going to have to probably police this one from multiple different sources, as I see Baz is logging in as well, and he may have a surprise guest with him, as I need to find out how to do this. So let's bring in Sheldon and Josh, and we'll look for Baz in a second here. Gentlemen, why don't you take over while I click around here for a little bit and let me know what your thoughts are, and we can get into the specifics. I led with frustrating. I led with no offense. I don't know if you heard all of that, but it was just lots of smoke and no fire. So take over for me, and I just got to get something set up here.
You got to do some stuff. All right. Hey, Shell, good to see you. Shell and I are just coming over from the Pundit stream. Lots of frustration on our end. We have a bunch of people coming in from our show too. There's some non-happy campers, man. I'll tell you that right now. North Wales guy says, surely it's time for Parky to go. He's lost the dressing room, ? He said, Will I and Bo, yeah, we're in a mood. So I'll pass that back to Shell. Go ahead, man. What are you thinking?
So for anyone who likes their action movies, do you know this quote? Are we having fun yet? Because that wasn't a fun match to watch.
It was not.
No, that was not a good match. We are putting ourselves under some serious pressure. We do seem to like to beat the stronger teams. We hate to be the giant, I guess, in the story. We just doesn't seem to suit us. So maybe we'll be up for it for the big matches coming, and we're certainly not doom and gloom. We have a very good shot of getting in the top three, but this is nervy. This is a hard performance, and if we keep doing this, we are going to be in trouble. We're going to slide into those playoff places.
Something that you brought up, Sean, on your when I was on your watch along before we went live. Dalby on the bench, no Marriott. Is there an issue? Is he injured? It's just the passing was off. Immediately when you see the lineup coming in, it's like where's Marriott and why is Dalby on the bench with Paul? I don't understand. Just those are my initial thoughts going back to what you said when your stream started.
Yeah, and I got more frustrating as we were talking about it. I mean, there was the 67th minute there where there was the pass forward from Lee that went to him, that he had a horrible pass going the other way. And then he had that header that missed, and just not in control, not the threat that we needed. Look, what Dalby does is he is able to maintain possession and control the ball relatively well, and he did do that. But
today,
I think he at least did that. I got to give the guy credit for at least doing something. But he when it comes to what his job is, which is to put the ball in the back of the net, he's just not a threat. He's just not a threat. There were opportunities. There were things going on. We just didn't get to where we needed to go. And that's the reality of just to take a break here. For those that don't know and haven't been here before, After 90 Minutes, Josh is from the Local Pundit. You can go there, like and subscribe. Did you get to 500 during your watch party, Josh?
No, we started. No, we didn't.
Okay, so everybody who is watching this, at some point in time, go and click there's a link below mine if you're watching. If you're over there and you're watching, you haven't subscribed, bump the button and get them to 500 today. We're also going to be adding, Carl said he was going to join at least beforehand. Matt said he was going to join beforehand. Baz said he was going to join and may bring a special guest. And you can join too. I've posted the link into the chat. Go ahead and bring that in as I see Baz is there walking forward. And so I'll bring him in momentarily. And I'm trying to get the chat to go up, and I'm not, and that's concerning to me because that's the way I police the people who are not on my own YouTube. So waiting for that to happen and hoping that it does load up, and we will see what happens as I'm into it now, but don't have a chat. In any event, let's move forward and let's bring Baz in here and see if his Wi-Fi, oh, it's not, he's flickering. I'm going to wait till you're static for a little bit. So wherever you're watching, thank you for being here. And okay, let's go through this game. Let's talk about the goal first. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a lot. How did you? I know how I saw it. How did you see it?
I was shocking. It just on a break. Cannon's out there defending on it for his life and makes a bad pass. Johnny on the spot, number 9. I forget who his name is. Gordon or something like that. Just there. It's sloppy, man. It really is sloppy. By the way, if you hear snoring, it's because there is snoring. My father-in-law's behind me.
I hear my kids yapping, which is coming through the speakers louder than I can hear them live. So I apologize for that. That was me bumping the volume gain down a little bit to not pick that up. I saw Cannon made a mistake, and he was in all the position and control to be able to make the right play. He was on the goal side. He had the first touch, and then he did that jump in the air sort of flick switch move that he tried to clear it, and he just missed the ball. I thought originally that Norris might have got a foot to it, but and sort of changed the angle, but that's not what happened. I will say John did join us. I know he circles around and he has love for everybody. We had John today, so at least we had some optimism in our group.
How'd that go down? Because if he comes on with Ivan today and they're on, I don't know how that's going to go. So there's going to be some Parky hate and love.
You know what? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm sure we're going to get flooded with Tranmere fans.
The chat is hilarious if you're actually reading it. There's loads of great comments there.
Yeah. I'm
going to turn the volume down even more on my game because I must be really loud if I'm hearing my kids screaming.
I think that's basically just the supporters just frustrated with Parkinson. And
that's what it is. The sound. That's the sound of Wrexham collectively speaking through. And so the chat's gone a little bit quiet. Look, there's the link down there to below, or at least I think it's gone quiet. I'm also following on the chat.
Michael, that's the one I was gonna talk about. Michael has a lovely one there. Was the tactics that bad? We got to create numerous chances, but poor final shots and pass. Now, yes, that's true. However, I think the fault of that was we did not get nice balls in before we had to take those shots. The defense was right on top of us. The passes were not where they were supposed to be. You had to take an extra touch. You had to go out wide. So that was the problem. I actually don't think the final touch and the final shots were actually that bad. I think the passes in were in poor positions, and they were trying to make the best of them, and that's where it was falling down.
To that point, they scored early enough where we should have had a plan to come back in this match. I mean, for God's sakes, they're 16th in the league. Yes, they did beat Mansfield. I mean, they beat Mansfield and they beat us in the bounce. But we should have had enough to come back and win this game, or at least draw. Jesus.
You look at their away form, and it is trash for them. It really is. So them away from home is not good. Yes, they've been on some recent good form, but everybody was picking us to win 3-0. Okay, let that first goal go. They got a lovely chance in. They scored it. We should still have been able to beat them 2-1, 3-1, without any real fuss. And we just didn't do it. We couldn't do it. It was poor.
It is poor. What do you think, Sean?
I'm just going to bring them in. We got the first guest from outside the normal group of people. And Josh, you know him well. Kieran, closet Wrexham.
Come on, Kieran.
The closet.
Closeted Wrexham fan, yeah.
He's going
to be a fan next year.
Kieran's probably going to have a go at me. First time I've actually really chatted with you, and I'm going to mute myself continually through this thing.
Oh no, the great chat in there. So it's, your kids are channeling the Wrexham supporters. Yeah, so it's true.
Wrexham team tour.
Yeah. Do we let you get your win out of the way before you start? We actually start talking football?
I mean, is it my place to talk about Newport? Really, we were good, really, really good, and we won really well and convincingly. And we're just good at football. That's all. That's all. That's all I need. We're good.
Did you watch the Wrexham one concurrently?
I did watch it. Yeah, I was keeping up on the updates. I was doing all this other stuff. I am as close as you're gonna get to a Wrexham fan without being a Wrexham fan.
Yeah.
Just a mutual lover of League Two, and no, it wasn't very good with it.
What did you see as a quasi fan? What did you see as far as the Wrexham performance and where our struggles were? Because I think we were mostly offense. There were a couple of bad decisions. I mean, Lee's yellow was foolish, especially because Yarny just got one 8 minutes before him. I question some of the crosses and some of the finish. There was Lee in the 43rd minute. It showed that he'd got the yips to me. He had that ball at 20 yards out and could have put his boot through it. And instead, he decides to walk it forward another 2 feet, allows the gap to close. And then they blocked and it stumped up blocked up into the air. So that one was frustrating. And that might have been the second half in the 53rd minute. It's hard to read my notes. I'll have to do a better job at this. But, pick whatever you think was the frustration, Kieran, or what the cure was and let us know.
The poor quality and the decision making in the final third tend to be the first thing I caught on to. I mean, you had alluded to it already, where just have a go at goal instead of trying to do all this nice fancy stuff and adding extra bits of complications onto what already was an absolute nightmare of a game from one hand. But you then come with the other contrast of you add something along the lines of 20 shots, 4 of them on target, and a good majority of those came from God knows nowhere. So it's just very, very poor decision making in that final third. I mean, we talked about it in very much brief that Wrexham don't tend to have a dedicated strategy, so to speak, in getting it from point A to point B in terms of doing it in the most efficient way possible, the group of players you have to utilize. However, it falls again, doesn't it? It almost looked like from me you were making up attacks on the spot. And against a team like Tranmere that's pretty well drilled defensively, when you catch them on that kind of day, it's not going to work very well.
No. By the way, great note there too. The positive was Stash came back. There you go. There's one positive.
Okay, is he gone again?
Did you have a heart attack though when he took that foul? Because the way he hit the ground and that went through his ankles, I thought, oh my God. And I mean, we knew what we were getting from the referee. We saw him during the Barrow game. He let the game go, right? And you look at his statistics. He doesn't give away.
He doesn't give cards.
Lots of fouls, but he does not give away cards. He hasn't given a red out all season. He's given out
33
10 though in 3 in every 10 games. But his yellow card rate is like one of the lowest in the league.
2.5 or something a match. It's very low.
He let him go. There were yellow cards out there. There was arguably.
Did you see the pull down on? Did you see the pull down of Mullen? Mullen, he had 2 hands on him and pulled Mullen down to the ground. Somebody did it. Nothing. Just no problem. I was like,
there's the comment from Starkey, who's just joined us. Always with the brilliant comments.
No, it's one of those games, isn't it, where you could have been there until next week and you still wouldn't score. But, like those games sometimes do happen where it doesn't land defensively, but it wasn't paired with a strategy to get the ball in the back of the net. Like I said, it almost felt like you were making it up as you went along, which in the pace of a League 2 match doesn't go too well most of the time.
Well, we kept putting crosses in the box, and it was the same cross, and they just kept dealing with it. You know what I mean? We didn't change up the angle, nothing. We just kept doing the same thing over and over again, which is frustrating. And great, by the way, great one on Starkey, Sean. Your guy is so great.
Ivan has been saying that for a long time. The crosses into the box go flat, square into the box. We never do cutbacks. We never run up near the line and just cut it back into the box, away from the keeper. And look,
we had an accidental one today.
Accidental doesn't count. Come on.
Well, yeah.
We didn't have an accidental goal today. Although that would have counted, so maybe that.
Isn't that a bad
Some
thing?
of it is bad luck. Some of it is bad luck. I mean, you have 25 shots. What was it? 12, 15 of them blocked?
Yeah,
on
they were
target.
putting themselves
As an
up.
estimate.
Yeah.
You'd think in most circumstances, one of those ends up at somebody's foot or takes a weird deflection. You had the weird one that the goalkeeper stopped that went off the deflection straight in the air and almost ended up pegged for the top left corner there that McGee was able to go and get his hand on it. You were talking about the Mullen pull down. What I was fascinated about and what other people saw was the Yarny wedding threshold carry move on Mullen, where I don't know, was that Mullen jumping into his arms, or was that a byproduct of losing balance and Yarny just standing there? But there was a good 2-3 second, I love you and I'm taking you across the threshold thing with Mullen.
Yeah, we're just gonna take you across the threshold. I don't know if I remember that one. I just remember seeing him being his shirt pulled constantly and been thrown to the ground and all that. It's just unreal.
See, the thing is I can't complain about the ref, and I know Al said it and you've brought it up, because we knew what we were going to get. We got exactly what we were going to get. Yep. Right? He doesn't call those fouls. There's no point flopping around. It's got to be something egregious. I mean, that tackle on O'Connor where he got clattered through after the ball was gone, and we're good unless it's so. Yeah, it's we knew what we were going to get, so I can't really fault him because that's just the nature of the draw. And the last time we had it, we thumped Barrow 4-1. So it starts with Grimsby next week. I don't know if you guys have looked ahead to the schedule or seen my little graphic. I brought it up before. I don't know if I'll bring it up this time. But fascinating next. Oh God, now they're banging stuff. I'll let somebody else talk because they're doing the pots and pans. Somebody's here. So just give me a second. Let's introduce who's here. Baz is trying to connect. I'll hit mute. Josh, I'll let you go. The bang.
So listen, on that note, talking about like things going on, the ref was crap, to be fair. 6-match unbeaten run for the next one. What we have coming up next? Listen, we still have one more game without Macca in there. So the adjustments that need to happen, we have to. I hope that maybe Tom is fit enough to do that. But going into these next few matches, Sheldon brought this up, and I think we talked about it yesterday. MK Don's going to play a huge role going into what's going to happen. So on that note, thoughts there after today's result and what we're looking at, what we're staring down the barrel for the next few matches.
I got Baz here, so I'm just going to bring him in. Baz is walking through the town.
Meeting someone.
So Baz, I'm going to hit mute here because I've got kids clattering about if you haven't heard them. And so let us know how it looked to you live at the racecourse.
Well, we are in the centre of Wrexham. Lots of disappointed fans today. Wrexham were, for want of a better term, piss poor up front. Seems to be a common occurrence at the moment. But we were just going to do a live broadcast from somewhere. However, unfortunately, it was absolutely rammed in there. So we'll try and find somewhere else. But we are just about to meet up with Jesse, who's waiting at the end of the road there. So we're going to meet up with Jesse, who's over from Kansas, and get a US perspective on the game. What's everyone thinking? I mean, I was expecting a draw weeks ago for this game because I knew they were going to lift the games for it, but I wasn't quite expecting the shocking goal that happened. Andy Cannon all by himself at the back. Tried to clear it, not very well, and obviously the shot came through to Okonkwo and just easily beat. But I expected better things. Good to see Parky mixing it up a little bit today. But
Baz, what do you think? Baz, any word on where Marriott was?
We have some friends who sit in front at the racecourse. Apologies for the sound quality, but
Oh, Sharon.
Live.
Yeah, Sharon and Wayne from King Happis on Eagles Meadow.
There you go.
Just been to the game as well. We sit in front.
Yeah. So
there we go.
I've got
and
Jessie from Kansas.
Yesterday. Jessie came and bought some things from our places today. Yeah. Rubbish game though, right?
shocking game. So yeah, this is as live as it gets, right in front of St. Giles Cathedral, where I got married many years ago. But we just need to find a decent bar. We need to get some decent Wi-Fi, and then we'll be straight back with you live from Wrexham. So stay tuned.
Subscribe to Dasle Publishing.
Oh, I love it. Say it again. Say it again.
Subscribe to Dasle Publishing.
Yeah.
Right?
She's obviously not subscribed yet, but we'll get it on there.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Well done.
We have.
Well done. I was trying to ask him about the JM. Did we have any word on JM? Was he injured? Was he? What's going on? Does anyone know anything? Or is it just he didn't prefer him? He preferred Dalby today.
I think it's hard for him to end up hearing. I'm hoping you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. I got you.
Yeah, I think it's hard. We'll give him a little bit of a chance here. I think this is personally awesome. This is what I was hoping would happen, is we'd end up picking up Wrexhamites who have gone to the game, who can give us a live and in charge. I'm waiting for Baz after the goodbyes here to hopefully give us some insight as to what he saw, stuff that maybe we saw away from the ball. And that's some A2Z says Marriott's not injured. And to me, I called that out at the outset. I was like, I appreciate that Dalby's a professional. And when you don't play with minutes, you end up getting rusty. And I'm sorry, you just haven't been stirring the drink to me, and it's professional. And so you guys can get out. So Sheldon, I appreciate that. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you back here in a little bit. I know for me, my wife is taking the kids off to their thing because we lost that hour. So I'm going to have a quiet household here in about 15 minutes. And I can probably go for as long as we freaking want today, which is I was hoping for a win and we could talk about all the glory. And instead, it's just going to be a moan fest. But for the other people
not from our secret Wrexham fan though. He had to W.
No, never. And so we'll keep him in. I'm just gonna bump Baz out until he goes live again, and it'll just be the three of us. What else can we talk about here? Do we jump into man of the match? Do we jump into? I mean, McGee stole one, I think, possibly away from us, and that was that young long shot that chipped up in the air, up over to the left-hand side, and he was off the boot. I went, that's never got a chance. Or off the deflection, I went, all right, it's to the moon. And then the arc of it started to come down, and you were
best
like,
save he's made in his life. Yeah, that was Elliot Lee, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Was it Lee or that was Luke? And there was the Jordan Davis shot where it was the only one that McGee was frozen. And as soon as you see as a fan a goalkeeper on his heels, not moving, with a screamer coming towards him, and I was like, if that's on net, it's in, 1.5 feet wide. And I was like, that screams exactly what we've been dealing with. And yeah, that's an interesting question.
That's it. Yeah.
The January transfer window. I don't think so, because I'll tell you where I think we missed. I don't think it was the January transfer window not like costing us, because at the time, remember in January, we were questioning our center backs. Mm-hmm. We were content in the midfield. We were content with our wing backs. We were happy with our strike force. We go out and we get Marriott. We think, oh man, we are loaded up now. We are ready to go. And then we go out and get Bolton. We're thinking we're rich over on that right side. This is great. We don't get a center back. And I thought, man, if somebody goes down with injury or Hayden or something happens, we're going to be struggling. Where I have the frustration is we only have 21 men on the roster.
Yeah.
And there were free agents out there, MLS guys who didn't get taken. And I know in England, and Kieran might be able to talk about this from the Welsh perspective, is there's not a lot of love for the MLS guys because they haven't adjusted. It's a rougher league. It's a different quality. But to me, they've got the skill level to play. So if you're looking for somebody to come in and dance for 20 minutes as a super sub, an MLS player can fill that role. And we didn't go and fill that role at any position. And I was like, why do we have a vacancy? So we don't expect Evans to go down, and that's another brilliant point. A2Z is hitting with the hits here.
I would say Gio going down and Stash going down are the two things that I think changed it. And also to your point on what you were just saying about the transfer window, Bolton and JM aren't even playing. They play like 5 minutes a game, so that's the difference. You know what I mean? So that. Like, you can't see how good or bad they are. They're not playing, so.
Yeah, and I don't think there was the intent. I mean, the intention, I think, was to bring them in and have them doing 50-50.
Yep.
Right. And they haven't got quite there. They may. I think Bolton, and I don't think Barney had a good game. Lee, I will be honest, and somebody can. This is going to be the very first time I've ever criticized Elliot Lee. He was shocking today.
It's been coming.
He had six bad passes. I've never seen him do this. He had this pendulum kick that he was sweeping the ball with his right foot. And it was, I like the mechanics of it, just, you get it, but he was way off to the right or way off to the left. He had that pass up to Fletcher on the left-hand side, had Barney on the right, and it was kind of a middle way ball, and Fletcher had to take it with his left, had no position and couldn't drag it to the right. Every forward, not every, at least a half dozen that came forward from Lee were not just off a little, but were like off substantively. And when we had Luke on, our corners were okay. And then we had Lee step in, our corners go to garbage. That corner he had from the right-hand side that landed just on the left-hand side of the penalty area and then almost went straight out, except Dalby had to save it. Lee was way off today. And so I don't know what was up with that. And I actually said that when Davis came on, that Lee was the party who for today should have gone off.
I agree, especially having that yellow card, that early yellow card.
Yeah. I've got Matt here. Oh, he's walked away from the chair. So he's coming forward. We've got a bunch of people here, but I don't want those that are listening. There are 296 concurrent viewers across all mechanisms. So whether you're watching on the Racecourse Ramble, the Welsh Beast has put his up because Carl's said he's joining. It all adds up. We've got 300 of you. Find the link. I should have it still in my chat. I'm going to post it here just so that everybody has it again.
Karen, what do you think about that? Luke
Go ahead.
That's my own comment. I only chuck it in just to almost note it to myself. By God, he's a good footballer, and the fact he doesn't play does my absolute head in. Don't get me wrong. I understand that you have options there in that area of the field that you look at. You go with they're more reliable options. They're more consistent. But we've been talking on your show quite regularly about teams finding out how Wrexham play and being able to, play the opposite way and counter it really well. This would be this would have been the perfect opportunity, and I said this to you yesterday, would have been the perfect opportunity to just throw the spanner in the works of Luke Bolton, because he's such a different player to, I suppose, how you usually associate your Wrexham midfielders. A lot more technical, a lot more, potentially more dominant in terms of that midfield role. And Bolton's got stupid amounts of pace, and he could have caught on to some of those, maybe not some of the passes from Elliot Lee, because by God, I think I could have delivered some of them better, and I haven't played football in years. But like some circumstances in that game, I feel like the pace on its own of Luke Bolton would have suited it. It would have suited the way you played for a good majority, and I wouldn't say he would be the guy to individually save you. I don't think that result was one that was going to be, exactly changed by the addition of Luke Bolton, but I feel like he would have had a significant impact in at least getting you back into it.
Well, great note there by Christina. Bolton brought pace that we desperately needed. We needed a striker to be with a little more speed on there too. If JM and Moles were up top, I think things might have been different, But obviously, what do I know?
They play a different game.
Marriott not playing infuriating.
I'm sorry.
I don't know I actually don't know, Josh, where we talked about it, whether it was with you or whether it was with Matt or on some other show. But we've talked about the difference in styles between Bolton and Barnett that's becoming apparent, because Bolton is less cross, more drive the middle. He actually is willing to dance towards the goal line and try to bring things across. He's far less reliant on the crosses. And so I would have welcomed an opportunity to see him a little bit earlier. I would have welcomed him off the bench. But at the end of the day, Barnett had like 2 missed passes, and that's going to happen. No player is going to be perfect. He didn't have a great game, but he wasn't off the mark. To me, it wasn't. The problem that we had was in the center of the pitch, being able to gain control of the ball. And when we did have control, it was thumping it into a body. And so I've got somebody who's joined here. So let's just go. And I've got a Phil who's in black, and I don't know who that is. It could be a Tranmere fan for all I'm concerned about when it's black. So if you don't know a Phil, I'm always hesitant to bring them in.
I know John. John came in.
So Phil, feel free to put your video on, only because the two of us don't know you and I don't know exactly where you're watching from. I'm trying to be a little bit cautious here because Twitter was a buzz. I'm afraid to go on it. I'm sure I'm going to get lit up. It was the most heated of any game that we've gone before. It was, the comments were,
I saw it.
Not only unpleasant at times, but entirely offside. There was one that I was like, this is legal consequence territory involving Carl, that I don't know if it needs to be gone over. It was inappropriate. And so we'll see what happens. Hey, fans are allowed to have their opinions. You're allowed to call us sheep shaggers. They're allowed to rag on me for being a Canadian fan who knows nothing, and that's all standard stuff. But I thought it went a little bit too far. So I'm afraid to go there and check it out. That's an interesting stat right there.
Yes.
From Kim.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, and I got experience of this too, he's getting in that. Elliot Lee is setting up on that left side. He's playing with Mendy, who I didn't think had the best game, in that little pocket. He's trying to curl the ball in. No one's really like overlapping and making it happen, but he's trying to, whatever he's doing in that position isn't working. And I like to see him in the middle of the park a little bit more, pushed up and on the turn going in. And Elliot Lee is probably trying to force it a little bit too much, trying to do little 1-2s in the triangles that aren't really happening. It's been very, very frustrating to watch. He's a better player than that.
So Phil left.
Okay.
The queue. So I've had I'm supposed to have the chat on guard here, and everything is all sort of there. So
do we have any? I mean, we can probably talk about this for next time. We should probably get some monitors. What are they called? The
moderators. Yeah, no, I've got myself here. Matt has the authority to do it. Brendan, if he's here, has the authority to do it. And Brendan, if you are here, it's chat.restream.io/chat that you can go to. We're already picking up some people, but like comments like this don't offend me. That, like, this is exactly what's okay with football, right? Like, have a go at the teams that lose, have a crack at them, have a crack at the commentary from people doing their own thing. Stupid Canadian jumping on, that's fair. You're wrong, but you're fair to have that opinion. It's when it gets offside that I end up having an issue. But we'll figure that all out. Do we want, like, how much do we want to talk about this game? McGee played exceptionally well. Ogonko, could he have done anything on the goal?
No, I thought he was. Yeah,
he was well beaten. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, how many yards was he out? 10? Like, it was 18-yard box, and he was getting close to the dot when he ended up making the kick, and it was right-footed off the outside of the boot to the opposite side. You're stuffed.
What do you think about Starkey's comment down there? Concerned about the playoffs only beating 3 top 16 away this season.
At the end of the day, because we've seen this all through League Two, is there are lots of what you would call upsets, right? There are teams that with form run on 4 to 6 game heaters, and then they cool off for 10, 12, right? It's really a league about more managing your rough patches when you've got injuries and pain, that it is about being successful and having brilliant strategies. It's the way I see it anyway, and somebody can feel free to come on and join us to have a chat about that. When I bring up the what's left, like next week, Stockport and MK Dons have a 6-pointer on the Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We've got Grimsby Town away, which, for the love of God, I recognize that it's away, but Grimsby's not on form. That should be one that we end up taking. Crew has a tough one with Wimbledon, and again, Stockport's got MK Dons, and Mansfield has an easy one at home against Colchester. I think with 3 points there, with just the lay of the land, and that MK Dons and Stockport are going to split points, Mansfield's probably going to run out and take this championship now, or at least it's in their hands. We've got an opportunity to grab those 3 points and then determine for the following weekend with Mansfield, are we going to make a push forward and bring Mansfield back closer to us, or are we going to lose them entirely? After that game, we have 4 in a row, and interestingly and oddly enough, Forest Green Rovers are going to control a lot of the destiny as they start 5 games in a row going through things. So we'll see where we're at with it, and figure it out. Getting hot at the right time.
Yeah. Kieran knows the league pretty good. He knows some of the teams, I'm trying to look at that Crew and MK Dons. Any take on that one there about the getting hot? I mean, MK Dons seem motivated. I don't know, but Jesus.
Yeah, so I've got I see Matt's eating, so we're gonna let him do that. I've got Ivan there, and I recognize him, so I'll bring Ivan in, and he can share his opinion. I from the sense I get is it's going to be. I tried to be a little tempered with my approach. I guess what we're bringing is the no filter, less tempered approach.
He's a good lad.
Ivan, how are you?
Hey fellas, hi. How are you doing?
Excellent. So the question that I always ask is I haven't met you formally, just had a quick chat with you on Josh's channel, but why don't you share for everybody when you became a Wrexham fan and your process to Wrexham glory, and then after that, let us know your thoughts on that mess.
I started watching the series from when they first appeared, and ever since then, just got hooked. I really enjoy that low league football just because I can relate to that and I kind of understand what those boys are feeling. And they just got hooked before I knew it. I was following Wrexham and still am. So that's my story.
Yeah, and so the follow-up is you soak that one in, I'm sure, and let us know where you're watching from as well. I don't know the answer to that question. So where you connected?
I'm in New Zealand, in Queenstown.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I had to wake up at 0300 this morning to watch this.
And so I'm sure you're really thrilled with when you wake up and you get that outcome. But you had your eyes on it. Tell us what you thought.
Well, I just wanted to go and just give us a little bit of a sort of step back in the strategic overview. So what happened this game is completely logical. So there is nothing that was not expected. Okay, so the thing is that a lot of the games this season, we won or we drew. Those games were not supposed to go our way, and they did. For one reason or another, let's not go into that. Luck, individual performances. When that happens, people forget the actual game, the actual quality of the game, the lack of the system, the lack of planning, and everything else. So what happened today is nothing new. There is no surprises there. What is more surprising is that how we are in third place after the performances we had this year. Okay, when you have only one thing, which is a reliance on individual players, these things will happen. The instability and the inconsistency is inevitable. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just objectively looking at the way the season goes. When you're when you're allowing players to make decisions on the fly all the time as a main source of chances, they will always be a second behind because they always need to look up. They don't know where to play and how to move by default. Hence, you always have that extra step by Elliot Lee, for example. Hence, you have all that extra touch by Mullen. Hence, you have a square ball going in the ball instead of diagonally back. I'm just giving you examples. There are hundreds. I'm simplifying things here. But guys, you have to be honest with yourself. This performance is not a surprise. From what we've been seeing all season long, it's very, very logical. And I've been saying that, Josh knows that. I've been saying that for 2.5, 3 months now. The problems are fundamental. And people like to keep their eyes closed, and they keep on sweeping things under the rug because the luck goes our way. That is excellent. Everybody likes good luck. It's good to have good luck, and it's better to win. But it doesn't solve the fundamental issues. It only makes them worse. So all I'm saying is that A, be ready, there is more to come, and B, maybe somebody around the people who makes decision need to wake up and maybe do something.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ivan, and I'm just going to take a moment here. Matt from Racecourse Ramble, he was at the game. He's made his way back to the home studio. I believe he's still flying solo with his wife in Prague, I believe, and so he's got the house maybe to himself. Are you alone?
Can you hear me? I am alone.
We can. So you can whatever expletive laden tirade you wish to go on, Matt, you can do so at any time you choose. For the people that don't know who you are, we've got 362 concurrent viewers across all platforms. Yours, Josh's, Carl put his up. I didn't check beforehand, but
they're all here for Ivan. They're all here we're all waiting for Ivan to go off.
Hey, Kieran and Ivan were sparring pretty good last night. Kieran's secret Wrexham supporter.
So introduce yourself and let everybody know what and who you are, and then let us know what you thought about that one and what you saw at the racecourse.
I'm a nobody that talks about Wrexham once a week on the Racecourse Ramble podcast with some more knowledgeable people than me. So yeah, you should definitely subscribe and like and all that stuff to everybody's accounts, because everybody does a really good job of bringing something different, actually. I really enjoyed listening to Ivan last night, because it's nice to listen to like-minded people who can see through the fluff sometimes that we that follows. I feel vindicated in sitting there last night and messaging Josh when he was doing a brilliant stream and saying, watch out for Brad Walker, because that guy dominated us today. He embarrassed our midfield the way he dominated it. Watch out for Rob Apter. I know he didn't score, but he was lively and he was a problem. And I only
saw Apter in the second half. The first half, I was actually Walker was everywhere. Apter was not really doing anything special, but
because they weren't attacking. They weren't attacking. They had
that's a fair comment.
That's not his game, is it? He's his game. But going forward, he was always, and Kieran will vindicate. Going forward, he's a problem, isn't he? And he was problematic. He didn't have any end product today, but he was problematic. What we're seeing, and I think this is what Ivan is saying. What we're seeing is a team that relies on moments of brilliance from supposed League One players, not a team that relies on brilliance from a manager coaching patterns of play, systems, and coaching the players to be the sum of its parts. And I appreciate that there's people watching this. John will be the one. He'll be in here in a minute. Who kind of don't want to see that and don't want to hear it, but we can see it with our own eyes. If you haven't got to be an expert of football to be able to see that. You don't have to have great experience to see it. So today was really disappointing. To have them dancing on our football pitch at full time in front of their fans is a disgrace. And players of supposed League One, we're told, Humphrey Carr will tell you every opportunity, these are League One players.
Yeah,
they don't play like it. Don't play like it. And you cannot be reliant on individual brilliance, because I think this might have been what Ivan was touching on a second ago, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ivan. You can't rely on that all the time. It catches up with you. And we'll see more of, I believe we'll see more of this over the next 9 games, because everybody's gone, oh, don't worry, we're gonna air all our we're gonna win all our home games. No, we're not. No, we're not. You've just been played off the park by a team in 16th place. You're not going to win all your own games. Forget that narrative and that spin. That isn't going to happen. So I think we're in for a rocky ride where we still might go up. I think I haven't looked, but we're still in third. I think, despite all this, we're still in third. So we still might go up. But the question I ask, and I've asked for a while, is: are we going up because of Phil Parkinson or despite Phil Parkinson? And for me, and I know I'm in the minority and I accept that, and that's fine. I respect your opinion. If you think it's the other way around, that's fine. But for me, I think it's despite. So that's but as I said, I know I'm in the minority there. So, and that's, as I say, that's cool. That's okay. And I just want to use something as a great example. So that first half, we huffed and puffed, but it wasn't great. We weren't creating clear-cut chances. We had momentum, but we weren't creating a lot. So I saw something similar with Stockport the other night. They went 2-0 down. And what did Dave Challoner do at halftime? Brings on 2 subs. It's not acceptable, that. 2 subs, slight change to formation, and now we're going. Yeah, now we're going to do something different. And they fought back to get a draw. What do I see today again? We see Phil Parkinson roll out the same lads for another 20 minutes. So we waste 20 minutes, really. And then he throws on the kitchen sink. He does his change to 4-4-2 diamond, but doesn't change the way we play. doesn't do it. Doesn't change. All he's doing is throwing attackers on. We don't fundamentally change it. We insist on trying to. Sorry, am I going on too long here?
I'm not.
All right,
Me,
well,
I'm,
I'll just
I'm-
finish. I'll finish on this. He insists on getting the ball out wide and whipping crosses in. When did we last score from that? I can't remember. So it's for me. I mean, they won't sack him. There's no danger that they'll sack him. That's fine, no problem.
No.
As I said, we still might go up, and Parky will get lauded again. But I think that there's still there's problems there at the moment, and I don't see him fixing it. And the thing that worries me is that these are the same problems he's had at other clubs. And other clubs have told us this. Other clubs fans will tell you this is what you get with him. These are the problems you're going to have, and we're seeing exactly the same issues. Yeah. So that's the. Sorry about that. I've gone on too long there. Sorry about that, everyone.
Can I ask a question there? Do you think, and this is to everybody, and I'll go. Sorry, Sean. I mean to cut you off. Do you think he's lost the dressing room? Do you think he's lost the dressing room? And
I don't think so.
Third? No. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Not from what I see. But again, we could be wrong, couldn't we? But I think there would be some frustrated players, though. They'll be frustrated at not winning. So that's the initial issue, isn't it? But then they'll start eventually. If they fall out of the playoffs, imagine we fall out of the playoffs or get to the playoffs and have a disaster and get tonked, then they'll start looking around and going, well. But that's just my 2 penneth, and it's not worth 2 pennies.
I want to direct this back to Michael, and I haven't heard the Parky thing because obviously we're here, but it's not enough for the quality we got, which is interesting. But when he says it's not enough, is that some internal reflection potentially as well, or was that directed at the players? I'd be curious if he looked at that as, but from his statement, if there was any intimation as to whether that was a global concern and issue rather than it was just the players not doing enough.
Yeah. Sorry if somebody was going to jump in. Then I don't think he really believes. He's got a history of promotions and stuff, hasn't he? Whether we like it or not, he has got a history of it, right? And whatever the situation is, he has managed to do it. So I don't think he will believe that there's any internal reflection needed. And my concern is that we perhaps don't get promoted, and the answer will just be, well, we just need to buy a load more players. And I'll be honest, and I know Kieran's a neutral, so you perhaps can give us the see what you think to this. I don't think we do need a load more players. I think we've got good enough players. He's shaking his head at me, so maybe I'm wrong there. But
I agree with you in the it's a nodding in the you don't need more players. No, I mean we talked about this in brief yesterday. If you had a manager, and this is something about Phil Parkinson, and I've never really given him the credit that he deserves in this regard. The thing that he's very good at is picking an 11, bringing players in that work in this kind of system that he wants to play, and the system doesn't land for the most part, but you can tell he attempts a system that is very forward-thinking. It's very kind of adamant on it. His issue always has been, and this is, you can ask any fan of any club that he's been at in the past, he doesn't make changes. He doesn't kind of go against adversity and, almost change the lineups that aren't working. Like he's very good at setting up a lineup that will get a good run going. He can make a team that's very hard to beat. But when that team is found out, and it's very simple football, and if you look at the way it's played, it's very easily countable. And if he was just potentially a little bit more versatile and a little bit more open to changing styles of play, and I understand he tried to change the formation, but you question, did he also go with the intention of changing the tactics and the way you get the ball from, again, A to B in the very simplest of terms? It shouldn't have to rely on the players, because you look at that team, you look at the depth, it is League One quality. If you look at it on paper, you don't take anything into consideration, that is a League One quality squad at very bare minimums. Players, to me, to get out of League Two, I don't think you'll need them. It's the maybe the answer might not be getting rid of Phil Parkinson, because, like I said, I don't give him the credit that he builds a team that does work and is reliable for the most part. But if you're going into this final, 8 games or so, if you're going in with the same play style that you played today, albeit potentially on a different day, you're more clinical with your chances. But if you're looking at this one as a basis, it's not overly positive, and you'd probably argue that maybe a change in the way you do attack or the way you keep control of the game needs a little bit of reflection, but it shouldn't be anything to do with the players.
No, I agree.
There's a lot
I'm
going
still
on.
a
by the
little
way.
naive. I'm a little naive still with the management relationship, right? I can understand what's happening on the pitch, but I've never been around a football club enough to be able to follow the locker room stuff and the connection and the tactics changes. The part that's frustrating to me, and Diandra actually mentioned it, was the lack of a change of strategy. And the only thing that happened today that was really a change of things was the selection. And so we go with Young instead of TOC. I'm okay with that because Tom's coming back from an injury, and that makes there's a rational decision behind that. We go with Barnett over Bolton, which was a decision. We go and fair enough. We go with Fletcher instead of Palmer. We've talked about that, but I get that there's a discussion there. The one that threw me for an absolute loop, and then we saw it on the pitch and just from the outside, is I don't know if it's because he just needs more minutes, and so it was a desire to give a professional and, hey, I'm going to be nice to you and I'm going to run Dalby out there. But Dalby had no business being on the pitch today, and as a substitute or otherwise. And I'll hold fast to that. I know that there are people who love Dalby. He's not a finisher, and in a 0-1 game when you're chasing down promotion, I was like, Dalby doesn't come in to this game.
Can I?
And he shouldn't have been in the opportunity to come in. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I never saw anything pre-match as to why Marriott wasn't in the squad. So I don't know if you know more than me.
Apparently, he's not injured.
Well, that's what I was coming on to. He wasn't injured because he was doing the. They have 4 or 5. I don't know what to call these players. They have kind of 4 or 5 players just ticking over and keeping fit and warming up before the game and after the game. And he was one of those players with Hayden and McFadzean and Tunnicliffe. So he wasn't injured. I was watching him with my own eyes. He definitely wasn't injured. Yeah. And I mean, Dalby's been dumped for how many games? Weeks. So 3 games, whatever it's been. For 3 weeks, he's not even been on the bench. And now all of a sudden, he's the man to come on and save us. Wow. Where's the logic? From his point of view, he's not going to be very confident, is he, coming onto the pitch?
He doesn't grab the game by the scruff of the neck, is what you're saying.
He's not the mentality. He hasn't got the mentality to do it. But the weird thing was, so the Fletcher thing was the interest. I'm sorry if you've talked about this by the sounds of it, but I just don't. His performance was weird today. Nothing he did went right at all. His foot was like a rubber band. The ball couldn't stick to it. He was trying to be too clever, and it was weird how we got this performance from Fletch today, because it was not. He's normally calm, assured, a class above everybody. And that was really strange today.
Ivan was bringing that up on the stream today. He was talking about how things weren't working. I don't know. It's probably a little expanding on that for sure. We kept bringing that up.
I said that for pretty much the entire game, it looked like the guys never really practiced with one another.
Yeah.
There was just no chemistry, no nothing. The thing is that we have to look at the performance of the team starting from game 1. You see, every time just like I was saying before, every time we get a result in our favor, it kind of gives the coach and everybody else a clean sheet. It's all of a sudden everything is okay. It doesn't matter the quality of the game. As long as we win, as long as we get the result, everything is fine. That is a very wrong approach. And that's why a lot of the teams fail long term, because just because you get the win does not mean that you have no problems. And the real coach, the real professional, will always be somewhat unhappy with the way your team plays. You cannot be going left and right praising your players just because they won. From day one, we have a leaky defense. We're conceding a lot of goals, and because the players were fresh and they were mentally a lot more alert in the beginning of the season, we fixed a lot of those results. That cannot carry on forever, especially with the pressure added. When you have depth, the depth is rendered useless if people don't play decent minutes. Bringing people for 5 to 10 minutes onto the pitch every time kills their confidence, destroys their statistics, and all of a sudden you actually end up with mentally broken players who don't know what they do on the pitch. This has been happening all season long. Overplaying the same team over and over again in all competitions will bring injuries, will bring mental fatigue. That's what happened with Evans and Stash, TOC. Those problems, even for some amateur like me, are visible from 3 miles away. The reason why they're not being picked up by dozens of professionals working at the club are completely beyond me. So there is just like I said before, the problems are fundamental and they're not new. They started from National League last year. But in the National League, we had players who were 3 divisions above. That's why we got away with a lot of problems. Nowadays, when coaches are smarter, players are better, our team, our lack of strategy, lack of tactics, lack of system gets found out, and people will be dealing with us. I'm not disrespecting Parky for his previous achievements, but you cannot look at Parky's previous achievements. They are irrelevant. You failed today, and that's what matters. Today is the only thing that matters. I don't care if you won yesterday. I honestly, and you should, as a leader, as a manager, as somebody who has any kind of background managing people, that does not matter. You do your job now. If you don't, what you done yesterday matters zero. And that's what I got to say.
I'm just going to jump in before anyone takes a comment on that. I've got Baz in the background, and Baz, I sent you a private chat to see if you're ready to go. Do you want to give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go? Because you've been walking around for a while, and I see you, Sheldon. I'll get to you here in a second.
Getting steps in.
Getting his steps in, walking around the city centre.
We are in Wrexham city centre. If that message can you hear us okay? Yeah. We're live.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. And we've got Jesse. We're just trying to find somewhere to eat. Everywhere in the centre it sounds absolutely rammed. There's no Wi-Fi signal anywhere, so we're just going to go up the Lemon Tree for anyone who's listening.
Well, there's no Wi-Fi signal in a restaurant that isn't already packed with people.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to go to the Lemon Tree, try something a bit more classy.
What's the mood in town?
That's fine.
I just need food.
Yeah,
We've just been pondering over the football after a disappointing day at the office.
So that's what. Feel free to give if you want to. If you want to share while you're walking around what your thoughts were on it, that's fine. If not, we can wait until you get to the Lemon Tree and you join us. But why don't you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, if this is the way I die, then it'll be an interesting epitaph.
I'll make sure you get back.
So maybe not. So yeah, I think maybe we'll follow up when we're seated. How about that, Babs?
All right, that sounds awesome. I got Sheldon in the background, and I got somebody. I got Carl. I got the Welsh Beast. Sheldon, I'm just going to grab Carl because he's streaming on his channel, and we can do the introduction and get his assessment. And so let's go ahead and do that. Baz is gone.
There he is.
The Welsh Beast.
Hi, Carl.
We've had you wanting to join. Work's taken over your soul. You get released for a day, and this is what you get to enjoy.
Unbelievable, Sean. Unbelievable. I can't believe it.
It's nice to see you. Tell us, just get into it. Tell us your thoughts, because I know you're going to wax poetic and hit us with it.
Sean, have you been to bed yesterday? I've been seeing you tweeting.
No, I didn't. 4 o'clock in the morning, my time, and I'm saving somebody. Somebody went sideways on your Twitter feed, and I
stayed out of it. I thought,
because that's
I thought, what have I done now? What have I done? I'm staying out of it. I think you had me covered, didn't you?
I had you covered. And I was ready. I was ready to start. He ducked away right before I was giving him my definition of what libel was, and I was going to give him my address for service and tell him to sue my ass, and I'd be entertained. But in any event,
great stuff. Yeah,
that was fun, and I'm glad that he actually did what he was asked to do and delete the thing and move on. That was the right call. It was entirely inappropriate. So, but anyway, I want to hear all about the magic of Carl going to the race course on his finally getting free from work, and that's what you saw, because I'm sure you've got an opinion.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. I've got no complaints really about the performance. By far the better team. Dominated, I think, from start to finish. Maybe just the final ball wasn't good enough, but lots
You
of
think that's
pressure.
because they were up 1-0?
Well, I think from start to finish, Wrexham were the better team. Tranmere were playing for scraps, weren't they? They were playing off scraps. They had very little input in that game. The only opportunity they had was on the counter. And even then, it wasn't that successful. That goal could have been prevented, poor defending. On another day, it's cleared away. But so many half chances didn't quite fall for us. The final ball wasn't quite there. On another day, there's 2 or 3 easy. I said to people around me, don't worry, this is not going to last. The amount of pressure we were having, the amount of players getting forward, certainly down that left side in the first half. Mendy and Lee linking up. But I just can't believe it. By far the better team. It's just the way it's going at the moment, isn't there? No consistency from anyone. Mansfield have won today. They'll lose probably the next game. Nobody is really going on a run. There's no real consistency.
You don't. Sorry, you were at the game, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We were watching on the telly. It didn't look like that from this. We were all over them at times, but our quality was just not there. The mix wasn't happening. It wasn't. I never felt like we were going to score. I know we had a lot of shots, but it never looked like we were scoring. That's from what I was seeing here. I know we were all over them and things like that. Passing was off. Some of the subs were weird. Bringing Dalby on, but that's what it looked like just on the television. Being there, probably a different experience. I'm totally imagining that. So
you could see the space, and certainly, in the second half, I think Barnett got forward, and it was just his final ball to Palmer. Or Palmer could have probably moved a bit quicker for it to the back post. But yeah, there was just so many half chances, so many opportunities. But it was like that final ball just wasn't there. And I think Fletcher had a couple of chances. Were blocked. Mullin's head in the first half as it just went wide. So I think on another day they go in. What's Tranmere are still celebrating.
Yeah, they are.
They're doing the conga around the racecourse now.
Yeah. What happened at the end? Was there a fight? Because we
kicked off. I didn't know what happened. We just saw a commotion. It was at the opposite end. It was in front of the Tranmere fans because they were obviously celebrating like they've won the Champions League. It was a big, big win for them. But it's the opposite side to me. I'm in the Mold Road stand. It was in front of the away end. Mm-hmm. And we just saw a big commotion. I don't know what happened, who was involved, or what the cause of it was.
I thought something got thrown in from the crowd, but I could have been wrong.
I have no idea. I haven't seen it yet. I've looked back.
I closed my computer right at full time. I'm not going to lie.
Look, they were really going for it, Tranmere, at the end. They were really pumping out the celebrations like they've won the World Cup or something.
But we said this, I think it was on Josh's one with Kieran there, that this was their last big game of the season. They're not really, I don't think, anticipating a run to the playoffs. They're safely out of the relegation area. And so this is their last big game. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. And I'm with you in the sense that they weren't really a threat, but that was when you look at their statistics and how they've played throughout the season, it has been one of 2 ways that they go forward. They don't come typically through the wings. It's Walker stirring the drink with Apter throughout the middle of the field, or long hoof balls where they're waiting for the bounce. They got the bounce. And once they did, I think they laid off. Do I think they would have challenged us? No, they're at 45.9% possession, and they just move forward as fast as they can go and have a crack at it, and it's scramble play. And that's and today it worked for them. And so I'm still just frustrated. Oh, I have a Tranmere fan who has signed in, who sent a message, and he said that it sounds like he's civil. And maybe
give him the floor. Give him the floor.
Give him the floor. He
goes one or two ways.
Anybody who agrees with Ivan and Matt, though, is a dangerous, dangerous soul. But that's what he's identified as coming in for.
Kick him out.
Phil, if you've got your mic going, just give me a thumbs up or sorry, not a thumbs up because your video's off, but give me a message. Oh, you don't want to be on cam. You don't have to be on cam, but if you want to chat, you can chat through audio. Just send a message through private chat and let us know.
He's
I'll
playing
wait for that.
FIFA.
I've got Sheldon waiting in the wings, and maybe because we're at 9 people. So the way that this works is we can get up to a maximum of 10 on and holding. So Kieran, I've had you for the longest time as far as the people who normally run. This isn't because of John's message. This is just what I said. We'll wait till we get full up. We're getting full up. I want to thank you for joining. This is why we created this, was to allow everyone
awesome.
to be able to sign in and come in and have their blurb. So thank you, Kieran.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Kieran.
it. And
Karen's
we'll let
No
you go.
worries at all,
And then
guys. Take care.
Darren,
Guys,
thank
I'm
you.
gonna have to run too. I'm gonna have to
Okay,
go.
so
It's,
Ivan's out too. So
yeah.
So we're back to 3 spots then, and let's get into it. So Kieran, thank you. That's Kieran.
The Ives.
And Ivan.
Good job.
Appreciate you. If I can click the right button and it works.
Both
There
good
we go.
guys, by the way. Both know their stuff too.
Yeah, and awesome. That's why we're here. So Phil's going to go back to YouTube. He said he'd rather just wax poetic. So there are openings. We've now got 4 of them. There's 521 across all of the
well done.
all of the platforms. And so
That's a lot.
Carl, your first time here. The other thing I didn't do, because most of us know who you are, but for those who may not, why don't you introduce what it is that you do with the Welsh Beast, and then we'll get back to talking Wrexham and the chaos that was today.
Oh, well, where do I start now? Well, I'm trying to create a brand. It's stagnated a bit lately for a variety of reasons, work being the main cause. But the idea is to create a sports brand that goes beyond football eventually, and has different affiliations and different sort of aspects to it. At the moment, I vlog about Wrexham. I don't care if I have my moments. And and it's nice to be part of this community that's just ever growing. Like I said, when I started out, there was like me and Liam Roberts, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. But now it's just a massive community. It's exciting. I try and get involved as much as I can, but it's been difficult lately. But yeah, it's great to be a part of it. It's great to be invited on stuff like this, and it's going to get bigger and better, I think.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I agree with that. I'm hoping to do it in League One, and we get to tie a knot in the rope and stick there, rather than have to go through League Two for another season. I do think we've got the quality to get up there, but it's going to be an interesting last 8 games as the season really rapidly closes off.
But you think top 5 is guaranteed, don't you? It's just getting it to 3rd. It's a bit tight at the moment.
We're I think the frustration's coming out with everybody. Like, we obviously want to go up. I think we're getting to playoffs where we're in trouble. We need to go straight up. Next year will be big. And by the way, good to meet you, brother. Good to meet you first time. And again, I said this last time, fair play and credit to Sean for putting this together. So thank you to him. It's really kicking off. So that's awesome. And good to see you do that.
So I guess that takes us back to the game here.
Sorry. There you go.
We have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Can we just move on to next weekend and the madness, and at least knowing that there's another 6-pointer that other teams have to go in, and it's Crew and Stockport.
The team that's going to play the most in all this is MK Dons. I think you said it last night. Both of you guys said it. The MK Dons are playing everybody. They're going to, like today, they beat Crew. I think that's that team. Unfortunately, we're going to need some help, and maybe that's the team that can help us out if we're going to stay in the top. Unfortunately, because
them and FTR.
Yep. So
if FTR in their search to get out of relegation, which I don't know how they did today, to be fair, and whether I know Colchester obviously lost.
They lost today. They lost, yeah.
So good. Let's keep them hungry. Keep them hungry. Colchester lost. They lost. So they're just out, but with games. Colchester has games in hand, so they'll be hungry. So let's fly at it and keep them hungry as they move forward. I don't know what you guys want to talk about, Matt. I mentioned it while you were away. At least if I recall correctly, you weren't there. I was talking about Elliot Lee and his performance today, because of all of the games I've seen, recognizing that since the National League streaming up through to today, that was by far the worst performance that I've seen from Mr. Lee. I don't know if you agree with that, or if you, I don't know what to do either. Even when he's bad, he's been good. Today, I think he was probably starting to get into the territory that I actually said he should have been the player that was subbed off, which I never thought I would have said. prior to today. So let me know your thoughts on Elliot Lee and what we do if you agree with my assessment.
I understand the assessment. I think we've run him into the ground. He's already, his goal record already. He carried us, remember that first, what would it have been, month, 6 weeks when Moles was out? He basically carried us, didn't he?
He did.
And I think the issue we've got, and we saw it when Jordan come on, is Jordan isn't fit enough to give him the chance to rest. So you can't just play Jordan Davis from the start next week because he's dead. After 10 minutes, his legs have gone, he's dead. So fundamentally, what another manager would do would be devise a different way of playing. They might change the way the midfield's made up, play a different player. But Phil Parkinson doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that. He refuses to do that. He absolutely refuses to do that. Thank God Stash is coming back. I hope he can last 65 minutes next week.
Yeah, and he played in midfield, you noticed today. He did play in midfield. I can't remember who we were having the conversation with. Said I don't think he'll ever play in midfield again.
And the corners were good.
They were great. His corner was the best of the day.
His corner was the best of the day. I was like, God, I missed that.
Yeah. When did Elliot Lee start taking corners?
When Young went out the squad, really, that was it.
It's shocking.
But it was McLean all season long up until about 8 games ago. I don't remember Lee. It was actually, to be fair, Matt, I think you jinxed it because it was listening to one of your podcasts where you talked about just generally why does Elliot Lee struggle with corners historically? And I went, that's odd. I've never seen him take.
How you notice it now?
Yeah. And you were like, because he's so good everywhere else, and I've always wondered why he doesn't go out there and strike the ball, and all of a sudden he gets placed in. And I think Parky was listening to the podcast,
I think so.
yours, and then threw him in there, and you're the doom and gloom.
He did not. I put in the chat there. He did not need to take that yellow card either. I was like, and then he just pulled out of everything. He just lacked. There's no reason for him to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about that yellow card is it followed right after, is it Yarney that just took one for the exact same reason 8 minutes earlier of kicking that ball away. And you saw the exact same thing, so you're going to eat it. So why did you do it? And he almost looked guilty as soon as it left his foot. I don't know
if you saw that comment from Aaron, but that I didn't realize that, but I think that probably ties in with what I was saying, that we've kind of run him into the ground and not been able to rest him, and because Jordan's been injured, hasn't he? So that is the natural replacement if you're not going to alter the way your midfield plays.
So if George is back, or let's just leave it even if George isn't back, is TOC, he's always in my mind been defensive midfielder and not somebody who fills Lee's role. Davis hasn't looked, I've been a fan of Davis and thought could stir the drink. If you're giving Lee a spell, I know it's only 8 games left in the season, but is it Davis that comes in? Can you throw TOC into that position? Who do you end up putting there? Because I don't see, again, square peg, round hole, or round hole, square peg, whatever. Yeah. What are your thoughts, or Carl? Maybe you, if you have them, Matt, it doesn't matter, on who would spell Lee.
Let the boss go first.
Well, obviously, I think Lee has struggled since Christmas, as we've all talked. I don't think this was his worst game. I thought he been reasonably well today. I've seen him play worse. Yeah. So I think Wrexham's home performances recently have been better. They've got moving a lot quicker. I didn't see the game on a Tuesday. I wasn't there Tuesday. From what I've heard, it was very similar. Lots of possession, lots of pressure, but just couldn't find that goal. But they did have a habit to starting very, very slow, sitting back and inviting teams on at the start of games. They're not doing that lately. Accrington Stanley, they got off first on the front foot, dominated that first half, 4-0 up. And I think Lee has been more involved when we play like that, obviously, because he likes to pick up the ball. He likes to attack the goal. Yeah. The impressive thing about Lee is he always wanted the ball. Certainly last year, he'd drop off, he'd come looking for it. He was never scared to get involved. He created space for himself and just drive at the defence, creating stuff. And obviously, he's one of our best players, and he has been off form, I think, since Christmas. But so for Wrexham, I'm not sure what the form's been like since Christmas, but we've got to be in the bottom half of the form table. To be fair, it's been very, very inconsistent, or maybe halfway.
Well, since the Barrow game, we were fine until right
Yeah.
after the Barrow game. The wheels have come off.
I think to your point there, our best in the midfield is when we're pressing and having Lee and Maka pressing high up the pitch. When we don't do that, that's when we all drop back, let teams come at us, and we don't, we're not aggressive. That's when Elliot Lee is good on that half turn and also pressing up front when we lose the ball. We haven't been doing that for games.
The criticism around me today, what I heard from a lot of people, was there's no midfield. It was bypassing the midfield.
They were hiding. Well,
It is a struggle to find the best midfield. There's so many there, similar players. You'd have to think Cannon and Evans are a priority. But you're looking at
we haven't had a choice.
Yeah.
Like other than Davis sitting, like we've had 4 with George out, with TOC out, even though he was playing sort of the left side.
I think my
Who
3
filled that
best.
role? Josh, go ahead.
This might be I think my 3 best midfielders, and this is probably not just if we're talking right now, I'd put Gio, Stash, and Maka in the middle. Those 3 I'd play. I don't know where Elliot Lee fits in that.
Wow.
But those 3, I think those are, because I think Stash and Gio are our 2 best players. Right after him, Mullen, and then O'Connell. Those are our 4 best players, our best players. But those 3 in the middle,
that's two park the bus for me. They're all good defensive midfielders, but we've got to have somebody to stir the drink. And so whether that's Lee or Cannon, you got to have one of those 2 at least, I think. And if that means McLean gets bumped off over to the left side, or that's a whole debate. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm with you as far as quality. That and now, not quality Lee generally, because he's worn down. But right now, if you were to put that out, and I'd be like, okay, Lee needs a break. He can come in as a sub. We're gonna have 2 defensive midfielders and somebody to stir the drink up front. Maybe I can eat that one. I don't know. Do you guys want to go around the room and talk about if healthy, and George is back? I mean, I guess take Jones out of the equation because we're not expecting him back this season. I don't think, are we?
Oh, I wouldn't rule him out that long. I think it was a hamstring, wasn't it? So it'll depend on that. But see, for me, it's awkward for me because I wouldn't play the midfield in how we play it. So that's the difficult thing. I would play a double pivot with somebody more advanced, more attacking. Whereas Parky doesn't play that. He plays that single defensive midfielder and then a flat 2 in front, and which I don't like. But it doesn't matter what I like, does it? Because it's Phil Parkinson's team. But I think if you were, I think somebody said put Mullin there, but again, you couldn't have Mullin that deep in the way that Parkinson's got him. But he could play that role he plays when we go to the diamond in midfield, and he plays that advanced position. But can I
jump in and just for the naive fans that are still learning the game, and there's going to be a bunch that I'm sure are here. When you end up talking about a double pivot, what is it that you're suggesting there?
Well, rather than having one holding midfielder, basically you kind of have 2 who the idea really with them is that they sit next to each other. And they actually give you protection when your wing backs go up, because one of them, whichever side you sort of get counted on, they can actually slide across, and they can help you defensively if they're done right. But really what you're doing is freeing up the man in front of them, which in this case might be a Mullin or a Lee or whoever you want it to be free and play wherever he wants in the final third. So I would like to see Elliot Lee do that anyway, but he doesn't. He hugs that left channel because that's where Parky asks him to play. And he ends up picking the ball up from deep all the time when really we want him 20 yards up the pitch. So as I said, so it's awkward for me. I've got bias in that I wouldn't play it that way. So, but you could play like Luke Young could do that role. When he came to us, that was his role, and slowly but surely he's gone back as Parky's asked him to, and maybe as his legs have gone a bit. But that's what I mean. You'd have to. A good manager will come up with a different way of doing it depending on who they're playing, money.
Yeah, I thank you for that, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm going to take just Carl, if I can, just because sorry, Josh has got to go. I know that we're running overtime because I've got the luxury that my wife took the kids out to their thing because we're an hour time difference. So we had to figure it out. So I just wanted to say goodbye to Josh. I'm going to make the pitch here, and he can end up saying what he does, but a little bit afterwards. But he's within like a spitting distance of having 500 subscribers. And so for the people that are here, there's 555 that are concurrent viewers from all of our sources right now. We just need a handful of you. Go to youtube.com at the Local Pundit. I almost said the Red Horse, not me. At the Local Pundit, and also on Twitter at the Local Pundit, and go to his channel and bump that subscribe button and get him across the line. Doing good work over there. Fortunately able to do more videos. I'm jealous because you've got a little bit more time at the moment. So go and push the button. Josh, why don't you wrap up and say your goodbyes, and we'll see you next week.
This week, yeah, for sure. Thank you. 10% will be in the mail for sure. Thank you. I might need to know.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. It's a great chat. Good seeing this come along. And again, to everyone that's coming in, this has been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result today. But you guys are great, and happy to, like I said, I'd love to coordinate and do some more things with everyone here too that's on the show and everyone in the chat. So fantastic. Yeah, I'll do the Wrexham reaction probably tomorrow with everybody. That'll be live. You guys can come and check that out. And I do live shows almost every day. So thank you, Sean, and thank you, Welsh Beast and Racecourse. And I'll see you guys this week for sure.
Okay, mate. See you again, mate.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm gonna just sub out Josh, and I'm gonna bring Sheldon in, and then we can go back to Carl if you can remember what you were gonna go with. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, just going back to Elliot Lee, I thought he supported Mendy well down that left side in the first half. That's obviously in front of me where I was. I saw a lot of that action, and Wrexham played down that way in the first half. Most of the game, or most of the half. I just thought I thought it was one of his better games recently, Lee. I thought he got involved and he offered a lot of support to Mendy. I thought Mendy did very well. He saw a lot of the ball.
Was solid.
But didn't always do the right thing. He got a lot of criticism from fans around me sometimes, but he was involved a lot. He saw a lot of the ball, and he was always involved in the action, which I like to see.
To give examples of where I was, I'll give 3 examples. I haven't seen him do this. He had this sweeping right pass that he was trying to do he was almost a pendulum motion with his swing, and he missed it by like 6 to 20. The one to the left missed by 20 feet. The one to the right missed by about 6, and it was just that he killed the possession because the ball just rolled out of play. You had the one of his corners that went horrifically and bounced all the way, went so far it bounced almost outside of the penalty area and had to go and get rescued by I think it was Dalby that went and pulled that one out. And then he had a play where he had Barnett going down the right hand side. He had Fletcher posted up and ready to take control in the middle, and he kind of split the two of them. And he was 3 feet to 20 feet off with his passes, and some of them were really egregious. I'm not saying without the ball he was around. He was helping out people. The hustle was there. The work rate was there. It was with ball in hand and looking to make a pass. They just were way off. And so that's why I said he had the worst game. It's not because he was tackling, he was nicking possession. There were interceptions, there was hustle, everything else positionally he was solid. I never noticed anything. That's where I had the frustration.
I've got a question.
I don't know. Stop kicking Elliot. Go ahead, Matt.
Just because we're in the tech end, Carl might be able to answer this best, or people who've watched it on TV. I couldn't tell whether on their goal, I know it was Cannon who was back with him, but should Arthur have come out? Or because you've got no perspective on distance, you see, because I'm directly behind it.
No, it was
should
the miss.
Okonkwo have come out, or was it always just between Cannon and the attacker? And I couldn't tell what was going on. Does that make sense?
It was between the attackers. So when the ball landed, Cannon was goal side. Yes. He was in the right position. He gained control of the ball, and he did so at about the 22 yard mark away from the goal. And I don't think a goalie comes out in that circumstance when you've got position and you've got control of the ball.
Yeah.
But what happened was a mistake by Cannon where I don't know why he did it. He tried to do like a double jump in the air, kick the ball out, and just get a clearance, and he entirely whiffed on it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as he whiffed on it, it gets poked out, and all of a sudden Norris was there. I think was the goal scorer. Norris was there, and he's got possession. Cannon's just been in the air, and so as soon as that happened and Ogonko registered it, he did come racing out to try to at least cut off the angle. And to Norris's credit, he swung the right foot and caught it on the outside of the boot, and it was intentional. Like, it all happened quick. And he got the outside of the boot and put it to the right side of the goal. And I don't think Ogonko was expecting the right foot off the outside of the boot, and he was coming out with his angle the other way, and it went in. That was a mistake by Cannon with whatever he was trying to do in the air, and only he will ever know.
That's how I'd read it. It's just when I went on Twitter, there was people saying Okonkwo was stuck glued to his line was the actual word that somebody said.
I'm naive when it comes to goalkeeping from a football perspective. I know hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never have expected a goalkeeper in football to go out in that circumstance, other than to take out the angle when the turnover was there. Yeah. Cannon had control and had position.
Perfect.
Just needs a thump for a clear.
Yeah, that's fine. As I say, I just couldn't tell, so that was.
That's Chris's comment there. I think is apropos for the day. And Sheldon, I think we talked about this, so I don't know if Matt and Carl were on when we were talking about it, but I think they had 12 to 15 blocked shots. You'd expect maybe a better result with some luck. You'd expect some better result. Lee's block was the most frustrating of the bunch, or the one that he had blocked in the 53rd minute, I think it was, where he had it on his right foot 20 yards out. Instead of having a rip and a crack, he punched it forward 2-3 feet. And when he did that and then went to go and run onto it to take the boot, the defender came over and was standing right in front of him and blocked it. And it was frustrating to watch it happening, because I was like, shoot, no, is exactly how that reaction went. And so
they've done it so many times. That's not luck, is it? That was there. Well, if you watch Nigel Adkins' interview from the week, and they must have done that. Who did they? Was it Mansfield they played last?
Mansfield.
Yeah, they must have done it because Adkins was praising his team for throwing bodies everywhere and blocking shots. So it's not luck. It's clearly a setup.
It was interesting because we were trying to do the crosses in, and I think part of the reason we were doing that is because we were also and increasing it seemed is because we were getting blocked so much. But what I didn't see until Bolton come on was anybody to really drive the middle. Lee tried once or twice. Bolton did it relatively regularly. But my take on it was, if it's not working, passing it towards the front and then spinning to try and get a shot, then build it up through the middle is the only thing we didn't try. Maybe that's just not our game. I don't know. If somebody has thoughts on what maybe would have been a remedy, I'm more than happy to hear it.
I'm not saying it's a remedy, but what we've seen again is that the lack of pace is an issue for us, isn't it? Because Bolton had a little bit of success, but what we got was his inconsistent crossing, which we knew he's got. And there was one in the second half that I think he kicked it into the cop from a relatively free position, and that's really frustrating to see when you're losing and chasing a game, isn't it?
Yeah. So do we move on to happier things and just truncate this in an hour and a half and talk about next weekend and what's happening, or do we want to sit here and quarterback this for longer? I've got all the time in the world.
Who was it?
Talk about the party interview.
Tipped over, deflected
Luke Young.
shot. The looped over.
Sorry. Okay. I missed that one. Luke Young had the best opportunities, I think, throughout that. The deflection one, he had that crack. Oh, can we talk about that free kick that Davis took from, what was that, 22, 25 yards out? I think it's supposed to be at 22 yards out, but it got backed up 3 yards. We've seen Mullen take 2 of those in the last 8-10 games, and he potted one of them.
Yeah.
I was interested to see Davis, obviously not on the training ground. I don't know if that's part of his game, but you assume he does have a boot to him, so you assume that he's the best player on the pitch to take it. Did anybody question the election of Davis on that free kick and for Mullen, or were you happy with Davis stepping up for that?
Not really.
I I thought Mullin was going to take it. I was amazed that he walked off without any fuss, which implies
Yeah,
that Davis must be in training, must be sort of, because he has scored free kicks for us before. He scored a few for us. So but given the fact his lack of game time and sort of, I guess you could say, form, I'm surprised he took that, to be honest.
Yeah, that was my thought. Is and the reality is, and you sort of have this mentality that if you're expected to be that guy, right? You're the Michael Jordan, you're the Brady, you're the whoever superstar in that sport. That opportunity arises, and you've got that in your bag of tricks. You go out and pull it, unless the other option is so demonstrably superior. So that's why I was like, well, let's see what Davis had, and then it sort of wasn't way off, but it certainly wasn't close.
No, you got to work the keeper. Minimum is work the goalkeeper. That's the,
And the frustrating one, I think, of all of the opportunities to me, and was it Davis or was it Young, the one that had the goalkeeper actually froze? That was the Davis shot from distance, where the goalkeeper was still on his heels and hadn't moved. It was that hard of a shot and that well placed, and he missed it by about 1.5 feet to the right.
Oh, I'm not sure I remember that.
And I think that was Davis. I'm pretty sure to me that was that or the Young moonshot deflection opportunity. But really, other than that, was there something that probably shoulda, coulda gone in?
Not that I remember.
No.
No, Carl.
There was some lovely, nice shots in, but they were deflected away.
I think when Barnett went in and he had that pass to the back post to Palmer, like he could have done better with that.
Yeah, there were a couple of those, and there was one that went through that Dalby arguably could have had, that was a cross in from, I think it was Bolton that was on at the time, that went through to him that he wasn't able to get a boot onto, and it just rolled harmlessly.
Quite late on. From the right side.
I'll send the message out while we're sitting here waxing poetic and sort of the wind maybe a little bit out of our sails. The link is, and I'll put it out here again one more time. This is the link to join the chat. Happy to have anybody who's been listening. We've surpassed 600, so I'm happy to keep going because you guys are happy to keep listening. But I would happily welcome anyone to come in and express their thoughts and other things that they saw. I will say there was the message of some tilts and fights going on in Wrexham, and I that's a part of the game that I don't understand. But I guess we have those outside of our stadiums as well. It's never made any sense to me. You go in and you support your team and you fire it up and it's emotional and all that sort of stuff. But I've never really got that. But I know it's part of sport culture and maybe a little bit more in football. Other comments, other suggestions. I'm going through things, and there's not much as far as the substitutions when they came in. I know that you had a criticism, Matt, earlier as to the tactics didn't change, even though the formation changed and we had them. Did we have an issue with the timing of them? Because that's the earliest I can recall Parkey making subs at the 63rd minute.
Relatively no, because that was, like you say, that was the earliest he was realistically ever going to do it, and like potentially ever has, barring an injury before. But I crave for the day where we have got a manager that looks at it and doesn't just go, let's send the same lads out for 10 or 15 minutes before we change it. And at half time goes, right, that hasn't worked for us. We're going to try something different. And let's not waste 10 or 15 minutes worth of time. What would we have given for that 10 or 15 minutes at Harrogate the other night to have Bolton on? Everybody seems to think that would have made a difference, don't they? So, it was good for him. It was early for him, but I think I crave that halftime. Somebody who's willing to do it.
He bring on a guy.
It's a free window.
He was quite aggressive with his subs. He went for it, and he brought three on, didn't he, at the same time?
He did his usual 4-4-2 diamond, where he brings Davis on to play on the left, puts Mullin, brought another attacker on. He brought two attackers on, in fact, didn't he? And
it was Palmer, Dalby, and Davis came in at the 63rd.
Okay, I've got a question for you. There's a reason for this. What do you think of our shape and how we played after we changed formation? After the substitutions?
What do we think?
Did you like it or did you not like it?
Well, it doesn't change the way we play. That's the issue. Fundamentally we don't ask the players to do anything different. We just load the team with more attacking players than defensive players.
Well, let's say
I
in
can
defense
only
then,
answer.
because we've swapped to the 4. Did we look better or worse, or what did you think?
Well, I can only
they didn't-
answer in the fact that the possession numbers went up for Tranmere significantly after we made the formation change.
I was going to say, I
Right,
thought
and so-
Tranmere's best spell was the last 20 minutes or so.
Because
That's when they saw more of the ball. They got forward a bit more.
because we've gone gung ho.
Yeah.
He's thrown
Right.
the kitchen sink on, hasn't he?
Parky, in his interview afterwards, blamed the formation change. Partly, he said it didn't work, and that's why they got so much possession. So he will not be doing that. People have said, "Oh, we looked okay with the change, and they kind of like the 4-4-2 diamond."
And they want him to start
idea,
with it, don't they?
and they want
Yeah.
to start with it.
He'll never start with that.
Not after that comment tonight. We knew he wouldn't anyway, but after he only did an interview for 3 minutes and he was gone.
Wait, are you saying we,
but-
the fans, influenced Parky's decision on formation?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's done. He'll never start now, guaranteed, because he's now blaming that change.
So I understand what he's saying. I think we probably all do. The only thing I would say is a decent manager would look at that and go, well, that's just a bit naive, because actually if you play that formation with the right players in, so if you had, I'm just spitballing here, so if you had George Evans as the holder at the bottom of the diamond, Tom O'Connor, pick another, Andy Cannon, and then Elliot Lee, that formation can potentially work, can't it? If you know, that's got balance. But we were unbalanced after the changes, which is what Carl is saying, is that they had the best spell, didn't they? Because we were just, he thinks it's a plan B. Idiots like me don't think it's a plan B, but it does get us out of trouble now and again. So, you know, he's right and I'm wrong.
We say it all the time. Once you score that first goal on another team, they have to open up. As it gets towards the later stage of the second half, teams have to open up and take the chances, take the risk. They have to push players forward, even if it leaves the gap behind, because you're getting nothing. You're on 0 points, so you have to take the risk, and that's exactly what we did. We were pushing up, and it was happening to us for once. The teams were trying to capitalize, and they did. They got more possession, they got more control of the ball, and we weren't keeping the ball as usual. We were hoofing the ball and not holding it.
We're stuffed at the moment if the opposition score first, aren't we?
Yeah.
We really struggle then, it seems.
Which is the antithesis of where we were at the start of the season. Right? At the start of the season, we could go down 3 goals and we would be like, we still got
a chance of a draw at least
behind us to be able to go to go and pull into it. And the last, since Barrow, every game that we seem to see, and I guess throw the Walsall game in there, although that might be an outlier because there was a flu rumored to have been running through everybody. But we just haven't had the magic. So what was the blip? Is it the start of the season? Is it now that's representation of us, or is it somewhere in the middle? I guess we'll find out over the next 8 games.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to accept what we've done this season. First season back. I mean, it's been fantastic. You know, to be where we are it's still a fantastic position.
I take it in my expectations going into the season before I started to look at things was you know what, if we can just stay up, I'll be okay with that. That's a good enough goal for me. But I started to look at 2 things. A, the quality and the value of the players that we're bringing in screams not a team in the middle of the table. That's one. So now we're asking the questions of fans as an expectation. That's changed. But the second thing is moving up from the National League and through League 2 direct into League 1 is not a novelty. Since 2002, 2003, it's about a third of the time that you move up and direct. And so I thought, given what we've got and knowing that how many teams have done it before us, now it's become sort of that's the bar. And I know people say, oh, if you would have given us top 3, 8 games left in the season, I'd snap your hand off. True, but also to be expected. At least that's where I was coming into the season. If we don't make it, look, that's fine. We run again. and everybody signs up, and I don't have to make any "Who Are You" videos because they're already made, and we know who all the teams are. Well, it's not fine, but it's not.
I know.
It's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
You
Not
know
the
what
end
I
of the
mean?
world.
It's not the end of the world. And there's another reason. I mean, you look at the teams and the importance of the academy, and I've been harping on this sort of continually over as far as the value to the club and on the go forward building, sustainability of the club. It's the only thing that, in my eyes, is preventing sustainability of the club. If it takes us a year and we're in League Two, where our focus is a little bit shifted with some management setting up the academy, I'm okay with that. When you've got a 4 relegation spot League One, I don't want to do the up and bounce back either. And now I'm starting to ask questions of, are these guys good enough to make a push to stay out of the relegation zone in League One? 3 months ago, I had no doubts that we were going to be okay, at least avoiding relegation. Now I have questions of, if we go up, despite having the summer window, are we going to be able to bring in enough guys here? Is League? I don't want to stay in League Two, but I can find a silver lining if we have to amongst the tornado clouds. I probably am going to get shot on for that, and that's fine.
No, I totally understand Carl's point. The counter to that, and we should, on one hand, we should be grateful after the crap that we've had, shouldn't we? You know what? I think that's that's fundamentally. The counter to that is the club keep telling us that the goal is promotion, and that they've filled our squad with League One quality players.
Yeah,
and championship quality players.
All right, you could argue.
Dave said it, not
championship.
All right, okay. I was just
they-
thinking
yeah.
back to the last time I spoke to Humphrey at the Greuzel Reds, and I think if I recall, he'd said League One. But the point is that they're better than where we are. Is fundamentally. Right. So that's the issue. Is we perhaps as a club we needed to manage that expectation a little bit. To play it down a little bit, but then would they be criticised and people saying they're not ambitious enough? So this is the knife that you walk, isn't it? The knife edge that they walk.
Well, sustainability-wise,
is now the time for back-to-back promotions. Probably is now.
Yeah.
Whilst
it's
we've got
there for us.
Whilst we've got, I agree. This is a League One squad with some championship players. I think Parky's the right man at the moment. I think this is a time to move forward. We don't want to sort of dismantle what we have and not rebuild it again. But this is a very impressive squad with a very good manager. We might not get that again for a while.
Well, sustainability-wise, I think we're okay staying in League Two if we do. The only danger kind of long-term is risking the money coming in from Welcome to Wrexham and whatever. But at the moment, we're making enough money to keep the team we have. We can afford them, unlike other teams who do this. We haven't just pushed in a ton of money that isn't coming back. Next season, the issue will be, do we keep Parky or not? Because if we miss this season and he stays, he gets to rebuild our squad. And he's going to change out some players. He's going to get some better players, but he's going to play exactly the same style again. Yeah. And where do we end up next year? Because after this year, with the quality players he's had, what do we expect them to do next year with similar quality players? Maybe a bit of an upgrade because he has quite a few he needs to come in. But what do we expect next year?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. What's going to be different? Yeah.
One of the things, the number of teams that don't go up back to back, then that now takes potentially years. You get stuck in, and I'm going to give the example of the Bradford City Chickens struggle. You're a bigger-ish club than everybody else, but you just never seem to be able to line all of your ponies up so that they're pulling in the same direction. And so that's the fear that I have, and that also goes to your comment with respect to Parky. Is I think you have to start to look at a change, as vicious as that may be. To freshen things up, to bring it in. We have turnover that we could, and I'm not recommending this. I think what they've spent is sufficient, but they could light it up if they wanted to and double the wage rate, and we'd still be within the revenue stream, the revenue sources for right now. That money's needed elsewhere. But absolutely. And so to me, a management change is the option rather than just going out and straight up. I know people think we're buying the league right now. We have the salary cost management protocol or financial fair play rule, whatever you want to call it. We've got the space to completely light it up if we wanted to, and almost triple our salary rate. So I don't want to think about it. I don't think we're there. I still think at the end of the day we're in that second to third place window. I think we're losing touch with Mansfield. We'll have to bring them back with a 3-point win in the Racecourse if we have any designs on the championship. But we've got one game to bang the crap out of whatever's cursing us, and then get into Mansfield, and then we've got 4 before we get into those 2 big ones at the end of the year.
I don't think Grimsby's going to be easy either, by the way.
Hungry, but
easy. Yeah.
But we were looking at it. People were looking at it going, well, Grimsby's the away game, because you think you've got the class of Crew as well, and that people are looking at it going, well, Grimsby, we'll win their away, won't we?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
Well, we got to win some of these, and if we're not going to win the 6-pointers, we got to take the other ones, or we can all get ready for playoffs and hopefully go to Wembley, right?
Well, typical Wrexham is going to be down to the last day against Stockport today.
Yeah.
One of the performances of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try and be a little bit realistic here. Let's just say for the moment, Stockport and Mansfield push on, right? Not the end of the world. They get first and second, right? What do we have to do? We have basically 2 teams behind us we're worried about right now. We have MK Dons and Crew. MK Dons have a ridiculously hard remainder of the season. They have all the top teams still to play. All of those could be losses for them, or they could be doing us favors and keeping us in touch with first and second. Crew, again, they don't have such a, but they're still behind us as well. We just need to keep ahead of those 2. That's what we need to do. They're also a bit inconsistent. So that's our target. That's what we have to do. I think that is doable as long as we don't go on a longer slide. As long as this doesn't become every match is a slog, lots of draws, we can definitely do that. What we need to do this year is we need to just slide in to 3rd place, get up to the next league. We're going to keep Parky then, but what we're going to do is we're going to get much better players given to us and coming to us because of League One. And then if we have a mid-table or a lower mid-table next year, then we can worry about Parky and changing systems and all of that. And then we can push on. But if we slide out this year, that is the worst case scenario, because either we're rebuilding now in a rebuild summer. After staying in League 2, we're going to find it harder to get players, and we're going to have to try and go up again. We're spending all our money on new players that are potentially League 2 level. And then if we go up next year, we have another team built that maybe isn't suitable for League 1, and we're overpaying on players. So we need to just slide this in. But it's not all doom and gloom. MK Dons and Crew, I do think we can stay ahead of the 2 of them.
MK Dons' next game is Stockport away next Saturday.
It's not. They have another one before that.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they play Monday against Crawley.
Stockport have another match before MK Dons.
No,
maybe MK Dons don't. Sorry,
MK
maybe
don't.
that's the way around. Okay.
Stockport got Crawley on Monday, yeah.
Yeah, and then the MK.
And then next weekend's fun. If nobody's heard this, I've said this before. There's a run of games next weekend because Mansfield's playing early. I think they've got a 12:15 kickoff in Wales. So our 12:30, 5:30 in the morning here. So may wake up for that. We'll see. Then the Wrexham one runs, and then you've got Stockport. They've been picked up for TV, I believe, on Sky. So that'll be ESPN, DAZN, wherever. Throughout the world for that one. So there's going to be a whole bunch of games, plus Canada versus Trinidad Tobago to find out who gets Argentina in the Copa America, if anyone wants international football. So that'll be fun to see. But next week's massive because you've got another 6-pointer with the Dons and Stockport. You've got, other than Mansfield's got Colchester, which, yes, Colchester's in a relegation battle. But Grimsby's not that far out. And that's a game when you look at the rest of our schedule. Doncaster, who's been playing relatively well recently. We get Colchester. We've got Crawley, who's always sniffing around and in the playoff search. FGR at the end of their 5-week run in a row against top 5 teams. And then our 6-pointers. So if we can't win the Grimsby game, we really, I know, Sheldon, you're saying the other teams around us are going to win and lose too. And I take that. But there's enough points there with the rest of the season that we've got to secure some. And that Grimsby game is staring at me as the most obvious opportunity and why it's important. So
there will be more chances. The only thing is Mansfield's goal difference is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Starkey.
We're not going to take Mansfield or Stockport on goal difference. That's not going to happen.
And Stockport as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
10 behind
Stockport as well. They're too far off.
Yeah. Like Mansfield's like plus 20, you know, something like that.
22. Yeah, they've got 42 and we got 20. So yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, that not including today's games, Mansfield was at 38, Stockport was at 30, Wrexham 21, Crew 14, Dons 12.
So that's like an extra point in it, really. That's like an extra point in many ways.
That is
like against the MK Dons and Crew. We at the moment, unless we slide nastily, we're ahead of them on goal difference as well. So
yeah, we've got 6 on MK and 8 on Crew.
Yeah. So that's not too bad considering, but we haven't been scoring lately either, so that's not amazing either. They could overturn that difference, but it's decent. Yes, yeah.
We either score in bunches or we don't score at all. I mean, we didn't score in the last game, so when was the last time we've gone to without scoring a goal? Maybe even before my time, because I'm trying to think National League and following things too. It wasn't this season. Two games without a goal. That's one I'll have to go and look up after this one if somebody else hasn't already put it out on Twitter. Frustrating. Again, I'll send the call out. Anybody else wants to join? I mean, we're sticking around to 2 hours. We've got lots of people here eavesdropping as they're driving home or doing dishes or whatever they happen to do. But if you've got 5 minutes and you want to come in and challenge anything that's been said so far, you've got some different insight, you want to, let us know your thoughts. That's why we've thrown this all out there. So anybody else have something that they wanted to talk about? Because as I'm doing the host stuff, I planned for an hour and we've made it to 2, but I'm starting to run out of topics.
I just want to mention a great defending by O'Connell today.
Look,
I want to give a shout out to O'Connell defending that challenge you made in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
A great piece of defending there.
I don't have an issue with how our back line has played. If you would have told me at the start of at the first half of the season that these would be the questions we'd be asking of things now, I would have thought there's no stuff and way. It was we were atrocious on the back line and everything seemed to be rolling up front. Everything's gone cockeyed and now we've flipped the other way. If we can find all of it together at the same time. I thought Max had another cracker of a game. Boyle was solid.
Couple of balls over the top of his head that he left instead of dealing with. But apart from that, he had a good game.
Yeah, Mendy was solid. I can't point the finger at anybody who had a defensive role to play today, other than, Cannon had the mistake, and mistakes are going to happen, but it was just the wrong part of the pitch, and it was one of those things that just take the safest option you've got, whether that was to have flicked it towards Ogonko softly or just to beat it without jumping in the air. I'm going to want to watch the replay on that a dozen times over because I'm trying to understand the mental space he was in to decide what I need to do is a double scissor kick in the air to clear this ball. It didn't look like it needed to be that way. So Barrow did
it's
he says
interesting
Barrow
that
in the
there
playoff
seems
race convo for now.
Go
go ahead while I look something up.
Yeah, Barrow are in it. They are in it because they've played a game less and they're 3 points off Crew
for the playoff. Yeah, they are.
So they are in it currently, aren't they? And they drew today against Harrogate.
Yeah, I think that really hurt them. I think if they wanted to get into it, they needed to take it. Go. Sorry.
Yeah. No, okay. It seems interesting that lately we've been figuring out we do have some key players that we just don't play as well when they're not there. Maybe McLean, Evans, O'Connell. And if we get everyone fit and healthy and back, how many more games before we could potentially have that? 2? Could we have everyone back in 2 games? It would be great if we had the end of the season with that core available, fit and healthy.
Yeah, it might not be
Is it how much longer for Evan? He's back on.
He's back on the grass, so you can assume a couple of weeks, aren't you?
Yeah.
George Evans took a while to grow. He grew on me over time. I wasn't impressed at the beginning, but I've watched him more and more.
Yeah.
He goes about his work so efficiently. He's always switched on. He's always there with minimal fuss. He doesn't make things hard. And I think he has grown over time. You're always going to miss your key players. You're always going to miss the players that are regulars. You just got to make sure you've got backup. And the players that step in to replace them when needed rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's helpful to come back, not just because of the quality of Evans and TOC full term, right? Being able to run out for 90 instead of just coming in as a sub, but you've got options to take the subs. Like we've been running Cannon and Lee out steady now. It'd be, and I think we've talked about it wearing down Lee. Can the same be said as to Cannon potentially? So I think we bring them back in. It still doesn't solve the problem up front. That's the 5 that we're running with. And I don't think Dalby's going to see the.
Was there a reason, Palmer? Was he dropped or is he injured? I'm not sure why he was on the bench. Was he just dropped? Was he?
He must have been dropped, mustn't he? It was really weird.
I don't get it, because if you're not scoring, and Dalby, I can look it up, but I think I know he has cup goals, but does he have?
He doesn't.
Does he have? Nothing of substance that I can remember.
Dalby got Salford. He scored.
Yeah, and so, but nothing spectacular. And yes, Marriott hasn't opened his account yet. But the one thing about Marriott is he's better off the ball than Dalby is. And so to me, that's your best option, even if you don't think he's going to score. And God, I still think it's going to come. I know a lot of people think that he's Billy Waters version 2.0. I don't know. Why don't we talk about Marriott? What's your sense of what he has? Is he Billy Waters 2.0, or is he as marketed, or somewhere in between?
Anybody? Somebody go first.
He's not a great signing, decent player. He's no better than what we already have. But he's come at a time when we've got a bad run of form, and we're trying to find that best combination. That's the problem now. You see, the front line is changing almost every game. And I think he's trying to find the goals. He's trying to find that partnership. And Palmer against Accrington was really, really good in that first half. And many people think Mullin and Palmer are the best partnership. They play off each other so well. Different players. Palmer can win the ball, use his strength, hold the ball up, disrupt defenders. And then Mullin just plays off him, exploits the space with his movements, with his footballing brain. That's always been the key partnership for a lot of people. But Palmer is inconsistent on goals. He doesn't score enough. That's all. But is his physicality the best option? Would you have worked today better?
Yeah, I don't think it would be hard, because I think Fletcher had such a bad game, didn't he? He was so out of sorts, he was so unlike him. So I think, to be fair, but on Marriott, I think the jury's out. The fans are definitely, they are waiting to see what we've got, and he needs to step up and show it. There's also sympathy, because he gets 10 minutes here and there, doesn't he? Really, I know he has started one game, didn't he? But he's largely getting thrown on at the end when we need something, isn't he? But he's shown us nothing.
I think I've seen good moments from him.
Yeah,
he's in my mind, he has shown some good moments. He's nice touches, and he hasn't had that opportunity. I'm sorry, but if you're brought in and you're only being put on for 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, you need time to learn what everyone around you is going to do. He has gotten into nice positions. He has chased down balls. He has worked his ass off up the front, albeit maybe he didn't get into the right positions because he wasn't aware of what's the right positions for what everybody else in the team is doing. He's new. He needs a bit of time to bed in.
Did Fletcher curse him? Because Fletcher came right in and he's got 8 goals. It didn't take him long to adjust from coming in, and I think there was an expectation because he was a little bit old and potentially a little bit rusty, and Marriott I think came in fresh, or came in with almost game ready. And so did Fletcher's performance, and I get it, players are different, adjusting to styles, all that sort of stuff. Fletcher's got more experience, but did Fletcher curse the expectations? Now we expect Marriott's going to look like, he's going to pot 8 in the first 5-6 games.
No, I think that would be unfair expectation. But what I would expect, I wouldn't expect that air shot that we got in the week. That was pretty woeful. And I was at Salford when he was running straight at me. He was 20 yards out. Should have just rasped this shot at goal, and instead he kicked it out into touch and tried to find McLean. So the jury's out.
Yeah.
I put this one out here because it's the only comment that I've seen that's been a fair one from Tranmere about them actually having expectations to make the playoffs now. And so I haven't looked at Tranmere's schedule because I've always considered them to be out. But it is interesting to note that with the 7 points behind, they've got games against all the teams around them other than Colchester. So they're done with the tops, right? They're playing teams in the playoff spot. So they do have some control of their own destiny to be able to draw in. Oh, God, could you imagine a playoff game if we've slipped down and we ended up with Tranmere, the chaos and the madness that would ensue with that. And one team hungry for it and one team not wanting to be there at all. Ick. Starkey with the comment about going out to a National League side. And I think he has to. And the credit to Dalby, I don't want to be hard on him. I've crapped on him for 2 hours now. Is he hasn't got a lot of minutes like Marriott has. And so if it's the opportunity's there, I'm all for him going down and getting to the National League and getting a loan out and getting some time in. And I still think he has the potential. He just hasn't found it at a time when we as the team need it. And I think that's the situation. It's not to be hard on him. It's just the expectation is the forwards are going to pot them, and he's got 1 goal in the league.
I expected more from Dalby, especially after last season. Did he come in to replace Mullin? The back end of last year was so impressive. You could see the talent there, and he promised so much.
Yeah.
And he hasn't delivered this year. I expected more this year.
Yeah.
What do we do with... Sorry. I think Marriott is giving us much bigger problems potentially than we want. What do we do with replacing Marriott if Parky's not happy with him this summer?
No,
so he only came in on an 18-month.
No chance.
No. Okay, but if he's not going
to
mutual
consent release. I don't see it, but I mean, what other option do we have?
The rumor is he's cost a couple £100,000, maybe more.
Yeah.
So, there's no. He'll definitely be here next season. No, don't even tempt yourself to think about it.
I want him to stay. I want him to get that chance.
Yeah.
I did see comments back when he was signed that his best days were behind him.
Yeah, I saw them. Yeah,
he did really well when he was younger. I think he got top goal scorer once and player of the year several times at different clubs.
He went to Derby for about $2.5 million, I think, if memory serves. But I could be out there.
Yeah. There's the statement that I've been saying the whole time is there's people who that's the jury being out and Waters hasn't found it in Doncaster. I haven't checked his minutes, but he hasn't shown up on any score sheets.
That was a bizarre signing. That was a really bizarre move because he got no game time, did he?
I don't. Yeah. So, but I think the issue was Mullin had the Billy Waters one. You mean, Carl? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mullin had this knee injury, didn't he? And they were afraid that, and they were managing it. I guess and they were frightened to death that if he went down, would basically be like Bickerstaff would have been the player that would have come in, perhaps. Like my memory's gone. Yeah. So I think they just found
signing me.
But they think they've done the right thing. They just found an experienced pro that was willing to come, and who, if Mullin would have gone down, had a record because at Barrow he was scoring goals in League Two, but never looked a fit, did it? It was weird.
And he got very little game time to show anything.
No, he did score. Remember, he scored against Torquay on the last game of the season, but it was offside.
I was going to say that. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
But maybe he would have gone like this if he'd have scored. Maybe he would have been. He'd have been the savior. But
the one that ended it for me because I thought, okay, he's now been with the club and now the preseason. I get that it's only preseason games, and I can't remember who it was against, but I remember him standing literally in front of an empty net, and the ball lands on his feet with the keeper out of position and wiped out and was out of play. And all he had to do was get a foot on it, and he somehow danced over top of the ball. And that play, I was just like, he's done. Like that's the definition of a player with the yips and not able to score. Dalby, I don't think is that far off. He's still having a crack. He's making contact. It's just not sufficient. And it's not Marriott to me as bad as Walters, because other than, I mean, it looked really awkward that when Fletcher had that extra touch on the ball and it threw him off, and he had that whiff and a miss in the last game. Was it the last game or 2 games ago? Two games ago now. That looked a little awkward. So I'm going to have to deal with that one. So why don't you guys chat while
I'll deal with the Tranmere fan that thinks Mullin's not very good. I think we'll take.
Well, I don't have a problem with making the comments that Mullin's not good or whatever else is going on, but I just don't need the emoticons and the.
Yeah, I'll take Mullin over any of their strikers any day of the week.
Yep. And Mullin was all over the place, as he always is, right? I don't know.
But he's a busy fool, isn't he? Don't you think?
Yeah,
he expands too much energy. We'd really need him. The cliche is between the posts, sort of, in the 18-yard box. But he insists because he wants to try so hard to run everywhere. And sometimes that can cause you problems. But at least he's trying. I agree. It's just he understands what it means, what the game means to us, really, doesn't he?
Okay. If we go up next year to League One, is Mullin good enough to be our first striker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the player you have with him, I think, is the key.
Right. And do we expect Parky to play exactly the same style as he does now in League One?
History tells me yes.
Okay.
And that's why, to me, this, in my mind, just envisioning the timeline, like I've seen promotion is probable this year.
Sorry, I just read that.
Let's say we go up, we go up, get promoted, finish mid-table.
Just get out of the bottom four. Just out of the bottom four.
Does Parky stay? Does he deserve a chance?
No.
That's the concern that.
Say the question again. Sorry, I was laughing at Starkey's question. If
we get promoted to League One and stay up, say we finish mid-table, do you think Parky deserves to stay?
No.
So he has a season in League One and we finish mid-table.
Yeah.
I think they'll keep him.
Does he deserve
mid-table?
it?
Yes. 19th, no.
Where mid-table? Like there's variance on there, because I think his target,
staying up, even just avoiding relegation on goal difference in the last day to keep us in League One after where he's taken from. Do you think he deserves go on another season? Or is it right? You've done as much as you can. We need to build on this before we get relegated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My opinion on this. Yeah, I do know what you mean exactly. No. Okay. My opinion is when we go up to League One, he's going to get new players because we have a good number of people out of contract. He's going to get a load of money to upgrade the team. So the defense line mainly, we're going to get a brand new defense and some other players. So with that, the expectation as I see it will be aiming for playoffs at a minimum, unless we do something crazy with players. So you're aiming for 7th. And if he comes in 8th, 9th, 10th, okay, yes, maybe he'll be kept, assuming the football looks something reasonable. If the football we're playing looks dog shit, then no, he shouldn't be kept. If we're in the bottom half of the table or past the halfway mark, then no, I don't think he should be kept at that stage, because he's been given everything, all the money, all the players. And what I was mentioning on our stream earlier is not only that, is he has been given every bit of faith by the management team behind him, because they don't know what they're doing. They have openly admitted it. They said, we're not football guys. We're giving you the money. We're giving you what you want. Do what you want. You've got our backing. But I actually think what comes with that, and I'm starting to see it just from some interviews, is I think they will be ruthless. I think if we don't go up, I think they're going to blame Parky. And they might do it nicely. They might let him go nicely. I think the second half of Welcome to Wrexham will show some background stuff that people weren't happy with Parky. They'll tell him, okay, look, we're going to pay you out your last year. They'll get a new manager. And one of the reasons, whether they like it or not, is purely business. They need to blame someone. If we end up in the same league for Welcome to Wrexham, they need to give the fans something new. And I think it'll be a new manager. because they can't blame the players. So
So
that's before League One. If same thing happens in League One. If we go up and get hammered, they'll blame the manager in that way. They might do it nicely. They might give a golden handshake to Parky. Thanks very much, but we're going to try something new.
I'll have two penneth. I've said this before. They won't be making decisions on the documentary. That won't influence them. They have two supremely experienced people running this football club. In Sean Harvey and currently Fleur Robinson, although the rumour is that she goes in the summer back to Burton. Sean Harvey is Phil Parkinson's best mate from his days at Bradford. He would have definitely been Sean Harvey's man. That was definitely Harvey who's brought him in. And it will take a lot for Harvey makes all the decisions at this football club. Be under no sort of guise. He runs it day to day. He runs this football club, and he will keep Parky until the dying day.
Unless Parky decides himself, well, I've done all I can.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Yeah.
So, what's Sean's rationale for that?
Sean Harvey's rationale, not mine.
Yeah, what's his rationale to defend that?
What's his rationale? He will not want to do anything that's sort of panicky, will he? That so is a season where you don't get promoted or you're mid-table. That's panicking.
I still see this as a bit of a business decision, and I know that you say that they're not going to put it in the documentary or be worried about the documentary, but there's also a momentum behind the club that for the international fans, they want to maintain the interest and the drive in the Welcome to Wrexham story.
That's
right?
not the reason
that
hire a manager, is it? So
no, I agree with that. But if you take that interest and you combine it with a poor showing in League One that gets you close to relegation.
So why didn't they fire him at the start when in the National League when he was dying on his arse? When he first came in, he was dying on his arse. We were drawing at home. The performances were crap. They kept him. Why did they keep him? In fact, they did an episode in the documentary. They kept him. Why? Because they believed that he would evolve it and it would get better. We had a point this season when fans have sort of wavered, and again, not a peep. They're quite happy. So I believe that he's got Sean Harvey will have his back. Definitely.
If it's poor and there's no narrative, if they're 19th to 15th, 14th in the table, and they've looked on the poorer side, like it just wasn't working. The 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, was not working for League One. The personnel, whatever it is, I think that they would look to find a way out to drive the next part of the story, and not only that, to drive the success of the club. And I'm not saying that you're going to dance through League One. Like, we're going to be in League One when we get there for multiple years. Yeah. But there's got to be a sense of opportunity to maintain the cash cow that's looming over the shoulders. And so I think that it has to influence things. Because the hard part... Go ahead.
What I was going to say is the cash cow that's come with is really for Ryan and Rob, isn't it? And how much football is in this documentary? The documentary is about the community,
20% of it, 15% of it?
Yeah. So as long as those stories are still there, sprinkled with some football, that's why I don't believe that the documentary will really drive change if the football isn't as good as what they'd hoped, if that makes sense.
But I think commercial numbers will. 12,500 there today. If for some reason, I can't see it happening for years, but if attendance started to drop, sales started to drop, the interest dropped, they'll try and find what is the reason. Will they make a panic decision based on football? I said it's Rob and Ryan perhaps driving the interest. But obviously, the success is important.
Yeah.
I hope this is a hypothetical we never have to worry about.
Yeah.
I'd rather just...
And remember, think about this, Sean. I'm not Parky's biggest fan, am I? I'm quite critical of him. I'm not. I've not actually called for him to go or anything like that. We're always asking him to change, aren't we, and do something different. But I'm defending him here because I honestly think it's clear as day that this is, Sean Harvey makes all the decisions. And Sean Harvey has got his back, and I think they will think that they are being smart by not making rash decisions. Look at you pick a club that's fired a manager and it's and it's not working.
Well, that's 2/3 of League Two, isn't it, this year?
And they'll think that the consistency is their winner.
Yeah, it's 2/3 of League Two. I think has changed over their management. I don't know what the turnover is in League
Oh, you're not going
One
to
for
believe
them
this.
guys.
We fired him. No, I'm joking.
That's
Can you imagine?
That's why I think promotion certainly gives him a lot of time.
Yes,
I
agree.
absolutely.
Long elsewhere. I mean, that's some success he's had. He's already one of Wrexham's most successful managers.
Yeah.
Top 5, 6. Certainly the most successful since Dennis Smith.
Oh yeah, it's been yeah. I understand you.
So
I understand
the news-
your theory, Sheldon, and why you would think it, and what that you're thinking about potentials. But I think I see it quite clear. But let's see.
Well,
let's see.
Right, yeah, I do have a differing point on it though with you. The first season and how Parky was doing badly in the first season, I would have disagreed with getting rid of him at that point. Anyway, right? I know people were calling for him to be sacked and whatever. I think Robin Ryan, besides the fact that they're naive to football and can't really make these decisions very easily, they could not have gotten rid of him quickly because they are the Americans coming in throwing cash, and they could
American
not
and
be seen
Canadian.
to cut their ties. Okay, they could not be seen to backstab and cut ties with a manager who has a name that soon. It would destroy their reputation to do that. So they had to give him the time there. Now Parky has now had the time. He has now had this, and getting in the top 3 solves everything. Nobody is going to fire him if he gets in the top 3. He's going to get another season. I don't like him. I don't like his style. I don't think he's particularly good at using what he's been handed. However, I would never call for him to leave this summer if he gets the top 3. If he gets us up, so be it. We'll take another season and see what he does with his new team and new money and whatever. I'm not that
the rigidity
type
for
of
me.
person. But
and Matt and I have talked about this at length. It's the rigidity and refusal to change. I'm not a football manager, but I'll be honest. I think that if I was to take to be the manager of Wrexham, I'd have them sniffing around the playoffs just because there's that much talent on the team. And so Parky's got to bring something more than just a clueless fan, who I don't think I'm entirely clueless, but learning the game fan to drive success forward. And that's the difficult part for him, because he's got all the money, he's got the players. Is what's the value add from him? And the questions are now still being asked, and I still get that. So
he won't have any excuses, will he? That's the thing. If and when he ever goes, there will be, because they've given him all that. We're flying to bloody away games. They've got cryogenic chambers that rock up outside the ground. You've got a bigger medical team than we've ever had. There is no excuse for him. Eventually, he as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
If there's big changes to the squad and team, does he deserve time to build a new team, or does he have to get it right first time? If there's still changes, deserve time.
I don't think I think he deserves time. I don't think that there's any rush to get him out. I mean, I think the natural and what I predict to be the organic nature of things, with what you would expect Wrexham to do, with what it's invested in its team and the players and in the management, is to earn promotion. League One is an entirely different beast. It's a 2-3 year run at least to move up. And there's going to be a bit of a stagnation period. And I think what ends up happening during that stagnation period is Parky ends up deciding, I see the writing on the wall, I'm going to end up bowing out gracefully, or he gets the elbow rub out. But it's a couple of years. And then there's somebody else who comes in who's a big name, who now has the new challenge of taking this team that's gone through a couple of seasons in League One to try and drive them up to the championship. I think the idea that we're going to be the Luton town, that's a pressure that we don't need. I know that it's referenced all the time. 9-10 seasons, nobody's ever really done it other than them. Sure, I would love it to get a run up there, but I would like to see us take our time, build it up, academy get going, and make it sustainable so that when Rob and Ryan hand the keys off to whoever they hand it off to, the damn thing's running itself. And I think Parky's role in that is he's going to have it until it's naturally for him to go away. I don't think that, maybe I just am too optimistic, but I still think we're top 3. I still think that we get to League One, and then we're going to have time where it needs a freshen up. And then that happens with teams all the time.
There'll be no shortage of names for manager, big names as well. Parky was kind of mid-level, very successful at what he did, but a mid-level name. There's much bigger names you'll happily take this job. You can take your pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been 2.5 hours. I don't see anybody jumping in. I can post the link one more time. It seems to be one of those things we get them early. But if anybody wants to come and join us to share their thoughts, critique us, you want to talk about Parky, to rip them or defend them, have a crack. The link is in the chat. If you're on the Red Horde, it's down below. Matt, I'm sure you've got it up. I've seen it up on Twitter. Carl, I know you're running it on your channel. I don't know if the link is there in your description, but it's in the chat. Click on it. Come and join us and have a chat. Do we have anything else that we can? I don't think we've beaten a dead horse, to be fair. I think most of this discussion has been pretty lively, and we've covered all the gauntlet.
We've covered a lot.
Beardy wants to come on, bring him on.
We have no training ground.
Well, that's my most frustrating piece, and John knows this.
Came back from the USA too late. Foster started the season. Many things we had to overcome, yet still third. Yeah. You know that, okay, actually, this is a point now to let's help Parky. One of the things that people have said, and I kind of agree with, is we think with the level of player Parky has, he should be way up the league. But let's look at the difficulties that we did have over the season so far. Foster had a horrible start for the couple of games and then dropped us. Something up? I got pointed at.
No, I'm going to talk. I'm just thinking about John's point. I've got something to say in a minute.
Yeah, okay. So that's fine. We had Mullen. We came back late from the season, and everybody says that also hurt us in the first couple of games. We had Mullen go out for the start of the season, although Lee stepped up and our other players got together as a team and kept us there. So we haven't had a simple season. And we're still up at the top. And if those things didn't happen, then maybe we would be first or comfortably first. So it's an interesting point. Maybe we're a little hard, but I still think looking at what we did with some of the slides, with some of these teams, you can always wish for more. I'll give John a fair point there, actually.
Yeah, I'll go on John's point because there's just a couple of things. A manager's job isn't just to manage and everything goes easy. You employ a manager to sort problems.
Yeah.
So these are relatively easy problems to sort, to be fair. But with regards to the training ground, I mean, the majority of the time we train at a £7 million FA Wales complex. With the greatest of respect, you've got every facility you want there. And when we can't go there, we train either at Carden or the Racecourse. What more do you want? Let's be honest. The other teams in this league have got exactly the same situation and have not got a £7 million complex to train at. So that isn't. That wouldn't. If Parky went into Sean Harvey's office because he was going to get the sack and went, but we didn't have a training ground, Sean Harvey would laugh at him and go, that doesn't rub, I'm afraid. Carl's laughing at me. It's like, he's a manager. He's paid to sort problems and firefight. It's not. He doesn't just get the credit when everything goes smoothly. So
I missed a lot of that because my wife had to call and tell me that I need to order sushi.
Nice.
So Matt, and by the way, outside of Japan, West Coast has probably the best ever. So if you're here for the World Cup in 2026, I know the sushi places, so let me know. But I may have to go and take care of that if the intention is to stay. Matt, do you have the admin controls from that link that I sent to you?
No, but I need
No?
to go. I've got to go. I've got to go now anyway.
Okay.
So.
So we'll look to
eat.
wrap this one up then, and I'll send it around for everybody to kind of say what's coming up with what you're doing. And Sheldon, I don't know if you're doing anything for the Local Pundit. Well, I will send it out there because he's 22 away from getting to 500 subscribers, and that's a big goal. I don't know if anybody else has certain goals they're targeting, but if you're watching this, 713 people at the Local Pundit on Twitter and on YouTube, go over there and hit the subscribe button and get them across the line, because it allows for a lot more engagement once you get to 500. It's a big thing, and so go ahead and do that. Whether you want to wrap it up with a statement about the game, whether you want to wrap it up with what you're doing and what's next stages, I'll turn the keys over to Matt and then to Carl and then Sheldon if you have anything, and then we'll say goodbye.
I'm not sure what day. I've just messaged the boys actually to see what day, but Tuesday or Wednesday we'll live stream the podcast as per normal, and then maybe depending, because we had quite a good Friday night chat. I might do a pre-match again on Friday night UK time, depending what's going on. So yeah.
Awesome. Racecourse Ramble, if you missed it from the outset and didn't know who that man was speaking to you. Thanks, Matt. Carl, go ahead. The Welsh Beast.
Yeah, I just think, I know it's been a frustrating day, disappointing result. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the performance, I think. We were clearly the better team, should have got something out of it, and I think we're all been a bit down, a bit negative, I think. It's disappointing, talking about Parky going one day, when there's still so much to be pleased with. Third in the league, the title is still realistically possible. Automatic promotion is likely to happen. I think there's so much to be pleased with so far. I might do a video myself tomorrow as well. My reaction today. But again, we're doing well. We're doing really well, I think, overall.
Awesome. So at the Welsh Beast on YouTube, and I think that's the same for your Twitter as well.
Yes.
Right?
Welsh Beast TV on Twitter.
Yeah, Sheldon, do you know anything? Josh isn't here, but that the Local Pundit's doing other than his videos and his watch party that'll be next week?
No, multiple videos during the week. Quite a good group of us now on Discord. We're always talking in there. I regularly guest on his shows and probably will do in the future as well for a while, unless one day I set up my own channel. We'll see what future
he's
may hold.
hinted at it. He says he's going to happen.
So who knows? But no, it's great over at the Local Pundit. Having great fun over there. So
awesome.
Come join us. Get us to the 500.
And for me at the Red Horde, I'll take subscribers if you're after it. And I run just really right now the watch party. I'm trying. There's so many ideas out that I have for video. The problem is work and commitments and all that sort of stuff is just taking up too much of my time. And so I'll wrap this up with Carl, and I'll try to take the middle ground. I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I also don't like, even though the play was quality from the back and the midfields, we've got too many questions, I think, up front that make me nervous. Do I think we have enough to get to promotion? Yes. I would have preferred that they made it easier on themselves, and this was one of the games to do it with. And that's no disrespect to Tranmere, but you would expect a top table team to be able to handle things at home, and we didn't. And so that's where the disappointment and the frustration comes from, and I understand it and I get it, but it's upwards and it's onwards. We're going to be on next week for that game against Grimsby. And we'll see. I may actually end up trying to convince my wife to allow me to run the gauntlet on watch parties from Stockport County in the morning all the way through to Mansfield at the end. And I'll put the Canada-Trinidad game on record and hope that nobody spoils it for me and watch that one as well. So stay tuned if I actually decide to do that. I figure an 8-9 hour run, that's easy. And she can handle the kids on Saturday. Right? No, I don't know. I don't think it'll happen. I was asking for bribes on Twitter. If you have ideas, feel free to send them out. I'm going to go order some sushi. And so unless there's any final parting thoughts on that one, we'll wrap this up, yeah?
Yeah. That's good for me.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate it. 724 concurrent viewers at the moment. So I don't even know what that views are going to be like and where they came in from. But that's
how are they still here at 2.5 hours?
I have no, and it's kept going up. It's kept going up.
It's kept going up.
So that's not views. That's concurrently sitting here listening through somebody, whether Carl brought them, Matt brought them.
It's because I finally
It's
made
the
it
beast.
appearance.
It's always the
That's
beast. Yeah.
The sauce. The sauce is the beast. So we appreciate you guys joining in. Hopefully, I want this to look more like a 606 is what or sports radio in the North America, whatever you end up calling, bringing in more people. And so hopefully this link process gets more familiar and people get comfortable with us, personalities, and others. We'll keep going as Josh throws his thing out there. All right. Frustrating. It is what it is. We're back. Grimsby Town away March 23rd, up the town. And thanks.
See you, everybody.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.